Chapter 441, Kai versus Arno. For the next 3 days, Kai ended up meeting with Leslie continuously, discussing their project. After learning that there were so many programs and measurements needed, Kai needed to contact Ayaka for all her measurements, saying that he was making a present for her. Ayaka, of course, answered every single question, expecting the present. Unfortunately, he also said that he hadn't found anything yet for Michelle and Tasha, so he apologized personally to them. After 3 days, Kai finally met Arnaud again over a coffee. The two stared at each other for a few minutes as Sophia stood behind Kai while Rosalind waited behind Arnaud. "You won't budge off your requirement?" Arnaud opened his mouth first, uttering a question. Kai nodded. 5 people, I, Sophia, Sir Jules, and Rosalind. You can choose the last one. There is no guarantee of success, but you will surely get something big when you have reached there. I will be the one in charge of this operation. Arnaud closed his eyes for a few seconds before coming up with 4 conditions. First, we are allowed to record the process for documentation. Second, we can do anything for you other than you telling us to sacrifice our lives. Third, if the situation has gone wrong, we are to call the Union to send reinforcements. Fourth, if we fail now and want to do it again in the future, you are to do it with us again. But we will send more people this time. You are not allowed to reject it. Kai narrowed his eyes and thought for a moment. I understand. I will agree to it, but only when we are in agreement that you are allowed to call the Union for reinforcement. After all, our level of emergency is different. Arnaud agreed without hesitation. All right, I will accept the terms. I will finalize the contract so you can sign it tomorrow. The dispatch will be at least 3 days from now, unless you have another requirement. Kai nodded and stretched his hand. Deal. Deal. Arnaud shook his hand with a serious expression before joking around. Do you know how much those people poked on me? Kai shrugged. You're an S-ranked magician too, right? Are you participating in this mission, or is it someone else? It's me because I have more knowledge regarding this area. My magic is lightning magic, but it's a different approach from your sister. I know. Do you want to spar to know each other's power? I don't know about your and Sir Jules's power. While I can somehow understand the extent of Sir Jules's power through Sophia, I don't know anything about you. Sure thing. This will be a light spar, so we don't need any virtual field. We will just use the school training ground to trade some blows. I think without a weapon is enough, right? As long as you use your magic a little, I'm good. Kai agreed, thinking that it should be enough to measure Arnaud's power. Then, let's go. He nodded. The two then stood up as Rosalind's sweat dropped, wondering what kind of fight would happen in school since those two were S-ranked magicians. Obviously, when they entered the school, both Kai and Arnaud became a trending topic as many students stopped what they were doing to watch their fight. Arnaud took off his suit and pulled his long sleeve until it was above his elbow. Kai also did the same and had Sophia taking care of the vest while stretching his body. What is this? Are 2 S-ranked magicians going to fight? This is only a spar, it seems. Still, it's exciting to watch Sir Arnaud's fight. What do you mean? You should know that his opponent is the rising star Kai Carter, right? The students kept whispering with each other before an old man suddenly appeared in the middle of the field. Oi, oi! Do you guys want to do something exciting without telling me? I'm the principal at this school, you know. Temporary. Arnaud corrected him with a poker face. Do you want to fight Arnaud? I don't mind teaming up with him. Jules's eyebrows twitched. Arnaud only shrugged. This is only a light spar. No one will win in this fight. Whatever. I will become the referee. Any objections? Do what you want. He shrugged while Kai nodded his head casually. Fine. Then start. Jules once again pulled another absurd move, completely stopping their rhythm for a second. Even Kai widened his eyes, looking at Jules with a dumbfounded expression. What? Suddenly, Arnaud appeared next to him, as if taking advantage of his shock to hit him with his foot, but the situation turned out otherwise. Arnaud crashed to the ground a few meters away from Kai. You pretended to be in shock? Arnaud made a smirk before raising both hands, because Kai didn't even give him a chance to talk. Kai sent a kick toward him and blew him away again while saying, No one will give you time to do something. If you see the chance, trick them or end them right away. That's the best way. Oi, oi, you're giving a lecture now? Arnaud complained and saw Kai coming at him with a round kick. Not wanting to be in his mercy, Arnaud rolled a few times and stood up before another kick launched him away. However, Arnaud managed to maintain his balance this time and landed on his feet. That kick hurts. Don't lie. Kai snorted and jumped forward, sending a punch. Arnaud deflected his hand to the side as the two began to have normal combat. You do realize that your strength is absurd even compared to mine, right? I don't know what you're talking about. Kai harumphed and punched straight to his face, only to find Arnaud disappeared. It turned out Arnaud leaped to the air and made a backflip with his right foot stretched to the limit, trying to hit Kai's head. If Kai took another look at him, he would find lightning sparked around his leg, boosting his speed and power. Kai turned around and blocked his attack with the sound oscillation shield, only to find that the kick was stronger than he imagined. It completely shattered his shield and went straight to his face. Kai raised his left hand to block this kick, which had been disabled of its power due to the oscillation shield. At the same time, he also smiled and said, "Your kick hurts." Arnaud couldn't help but smile. "You're lying." Kai chuckled as he grasped his ankle and spun his body, slamming it to the ground. Another lightning spark occurred again as it suddenly bounced off the ground, heading straight to Kai. Two magic circles appeared and blocked the lightning strike, while Kai punched Arnaud on the ground. Arnaud was forced to use his exoskeleton unless he wanted a broken bone and took that hit head-on. Bam! A small crater was created on the ground as the dust kicked up, hiding them. Suddenly, Kai's figure emerged to the sky as if he escaped from something. When the dust settled down, Arnaud finally made his appearance with lightning covering his whole body. "To think I would be forced to use this first before you even use your exoskeleton. I wonder if I should feel ashamed or say as expected of the rising star of the US base that managed to kill an S-rank magical beast. I'm confused." "Neither." Kai snorted before looking to his left, finding that Arnaud had appeared when he said that one word. His left hand was completely in the way of his kick, blocking his kick. At the same time, his right hand supported his left hand to withstand this attack. Yet, he felt dread of this kick and summoned his exoskeleton to protect his body. And he was right. The moment the kick landed, Kai was pushed back a few meters even though his feet didn't move. "That's a strong kick." "Well, thank you." Arnaud smiled as he appeared before Kai's eyes, punching his stomach. Kai managed to react to this as well and used his right hand to stop it, but that position forced him to grab his hand a little as he felt the lightning electrocuting his right hand, making it numb. If he didn't have his magic power, it would be dangerous for the body. "Wait, this lightning magic, I feel like." Kai grasped something indescribable when he saw how Arnaud's body was covered in lightning and how every attack carried that power. To repay him, he took one step back to invite Arnaud before taking another step to transfer all the force accumulated in his lower body to his fist. Not good. Arnaud felt something wrong and raised both hands to grasp this one punch from him. Bam! Arnaud was launched again before landing on the ground a few meters away from Kai. This time, Kai didn't move at all. The two stared at each other without saying anything for a minute, before Kai and Arnaud lowered their fists at the same time, knowing when to stop. The two laughed without apparent reasons before Arnaud said, "I'm impressed with your skill. You are known for your sharpest sword, so I feel like I won't have the chance to defeat you." No, I'm sure that Sir Arnaud hasn't even used half of your power. It's me who should be prepared, or I will lose without knowing the reason." Kai smiled. "All in all, thank you for the fight. I feel like I know what kind of magic should be my next magic. Ho ho, I end up inspiring you? I'm honored." Arnaud chuckled and nodded. "Thank you for the fight." Chapter 442, Before the Expedition, Thank you for the fight. The students couldn't believe that it just stopped there, even though the fight would start getting interesting. Some of them actually understood their fight a bit, especially with how their moves differed from their expectations. Some people actually questioned why they would make such a movement, and when they arrived at the answer, they couldn't help but feel shocked. Nonetheless, the fight was pretty great and almost all students enjoyed it. Kai and Arnaud shook hands, showing that the fight had ended. "I need to go back to my office and finish all my work, since I need to prepare for a long trip this month." "Ah, Kai chuckled and nodded. "Then, I will need to go around the school first to learn more about the school." Haha, sure you do. Anyway, I'm going. Arnaud turned around, grabbed his suit, and left the school. After the fight, since it took all the attention to this field, Rosalind asked him to leave with her, to which he agreed. Sophia followed suit while Jules dispersed the students. As soon as they escaped from the crowd, Kai took out his device and called his teacher through a secret channel. Teacher, can you make a pair of gloves and shoes for me with the same material as my swords? For what? Combat. Glove is not possible right now, as it's hard to make that metal flexible. The only thing I can make for you is the shoes. I understand. That's enough. Do you need me to send them there, if possible? All right, I will work on it. It should arrive within 7 days. Give me the details and other things to me later, so I can start working on it. I understand. Thank you, teacher. No problem. Just one, I love you, teacher, is enough for the payment. Ahaha, yes, I truly love you, teacher. Thank you. Kai chuckled. Got it. Now all you need is to wait. Kai nodded and put it back in his pocket before finding a weird expression on Rosalind and Sophia's faces. What? Kai tilted his head in confusion, not understanding what was inside their heads. Do you have an illicit relationship with your teacher? No, she is like my parents. Well, I have once mentioned her being my godparent to my own parents, but I haven't conveyed it to her yet. Did they agree? They have no reason to not agree. Kai shrugged. I have told my past to them and how I met my teacher, so they are understanding. The two looked at each other with a dumbfounded expression, wondering what they should do with this information. I don't mind if you tell the others, since it will reach her ears at some point, but I hope that you two can keep it a secret for the time being, said Kai nonchalantly. Well, I don't mind. Sophia was the first to answer, considering that his status became even higher if Rios truly became his godparent as well as his teacher. Rosalind, on the contrary, needed to think about it because this information would cause a huge reaction to the higher-ups. Since Kai's expedition might result in something big, she would just wait until the grand prize was revealed. If it were too big, she didn't need to tell this information to her superior. She wouldn't offend Kai too. After contemplating for 1 minute, she nodded. I understand. I shall keep it secret for the time being. Kai nodded and turned around. And all that's left is for me to explore this school and try to learn anything in this school while waiting for the expedition. Oh, right. Can you tell Sir Arnaud to postpone the expedition for a week, Rosalind? Do you mind we are going in a week? Yes. I can relay it to him, but I don't know his reaction, considering that he needs to reschedule his plan. Ahaha, isn't it fine to have more preparation? Kai answered her question with an assurance that would make Arnaud think for a while. I understand. Let me inform him. Rosalind took out her device and called Arnaud. The conversation lasted for 3 minutes before Rosalind could say, It's fine. Kai nodded and thanked her. All right, time to go. After that fight, Kai then did whatever he wanted in the school since there weren't many things to deal with. Since the expedition was postponed, Kai decided to go sightseeing. Obviously, Sophia became his companion, only to find Rosalind getting between them because it was her job. Anyway, Kai didn't care much about it since he didn't plan to do anything in the EU base. Kai went from one place to another, looking at the city, citizens, and even some small details, wondering if they had something good in his eyes. He even visited some shops to eat or even buy weapons. He truly wanted to see all kinds of things that this place could offer. Although they ended up going around for 2 days straight, Sophia was pretty happy about it, thinking it was their date. Of course, because of the prank she pulled on Rosalind, she didn't tease her anymore, feeling bad about it. No matter how she worded it, Rosalind only acted that way because of her job and the order from above. Feeling uncomfortable the longer she thought about it, she decided to apologize to her. Rosalind understood her intention as well, knowing she just wanted time alone with Kai. She only said to not mind it before she apologized to Sophia since she couldn't do anything about the order. After acknowledging each other, Sophia became closer to Rosalind and joked around her. Kai didn't care much about it as long as they got along. He worried that their rivalry would end up making them unable to fight together in the expedition. Seeing them like this just made his heart feel relieved. However, Kai ended up staying until late to see everything France could offer during the last 2 days. 5 days later, Kai finally got the package from his master, containing the new shoes he wanted. The shoes themselves were plain white and had no decorations or logo. Despite having filled it with some soft cotton, The shoes were a bit too stiff considering it was made of metal. Kai ended up using the last 2 days to get used to the current box. Obviously, Sophia and Rosalind were watching his training. Sophia could find something was wrong with his shoes, while Rosalind didn't notice it. Finally, after 2 days of self-training, the day of the mission arrived. Kai brought a bag of spices and a tent for the expedition. Jules brought all the necessities for bathing and such. Arnaud brought all their clothes, while the girls brought their own stuff. According to Kai, this journey would be dangerous to the point they couldn't even use a car or something since the terrain wouldn't be that good. After agreeing to the condition, the military then sent them to the front line for a ride before they needed to continue the journey on foot. Meanwhile, in the US base, specifically in room 420, Michelle received Kai's email and read it. "Is it Kai?" Ayaka asked with a poker face. "Yep." Michelle nodded before finding Ayaka sitting next to her to read it together. She didn't mind, but they later found many pictures of him and Sophia and Rosalind. "What? There are so many pictures with her. Who is she? Is she a potential wife again? I'm going to teach him a lesson after promising us to not do something behind our backs." Michelle gritted her teeth and started typing back. "Are you not angry, Ayaka?" She furrowed her eyebrows when she saw Ayaka maintaining her poker face, as if she didn't feel anything after reading the message and just playing with her device. "I am not angry as long as he is telling us about it." What did he say about her again? She is the agent the Union sent to watch him and seduce him. Then, that's all. You should know that seducing is the impossible way to get him, and even Sophia needed a long time to even be recognized. So, tell me the reason for me to get angry. She smiled and continued playing with her device. Michelle widened her eyes, never expecting to hear such an answer from her. She thought for a moment and realized that she was pretty childish. Then she looked at Ayaka, becoming curious about what she was doing all this time, and peeked at her device. In that instant, she widened her eyes and gasped. It was just an email. But that email was a report about what Kai did, and the recipient was none other than Tasha. "You are angry, aren't you?" Michelle made a weird smile. "Not at all," she chuckled. Chapter 443, Journey. In a certain barren land where they could see so many soldiers fighting against the magical beasts, Kai finally came out of the military truck while looking at the scene. Kai looked around to see that the military truly operated alone. There were only around 20 people to cover such a large area, but he noticed that all of them had exoskeletons to increase their strength. After Jules came out of the truck, he explained, "That's our elites. If you go to the battlefield with us, you will find them now and then. What do you think?" "They are good, but not efficient." Kai simply told him the only thing in his mind after looking at their performance for 1 minute. "I know, but our death rates are far lower than the US base or United Asia when employing this method. Unfortunately, we can't provide all the soldiers with it yet, so yeah," Jules shrugged. "But it certainly gives me insight. It will be nice to have an elite troop. The US base also has elite troops consisting of powerful magicians, but they are low in number, so I have no choice other than to command a normal army. Well, this kind of troop can overturn the entire battlefield if released in a perfect time." Kai narrowed his eyes, imagining the armies in the US base. Indeed, the one who answered him was not Jules, but Arnaud. No matter what anyone said, Arnaud will be the leader among the S-rank magicians and also the one who managed to keep the entire base in check, even though Jules was stronger than him. In terms of warfare, Arnaud was far better than Jules, so if the Campbell family really confronted Jules, they would lose because of the lack of command. That was why they feared Kai Carter for his strength and commanding ability. Anyway, we have a long journey after this. We need to cross approximately another 800 kilometers from here to reach Syria. That's where the real search begins, right? Kai nodded with a serious expression. They would then go to Iran and Iraq to check everything. Our ETA? I'm not sure myself. If we go at our full speed, I'm sure we can arrive in 10 hours. Unfortunately, we need to deal with the magical beasts on the way. So maybe a day? Kai thought for a moment and asked, "I'm sure that you know I'm the commanding officer in this mission, right?" "Of course, we will be following your command." Arnaud smirked as if challenging him. Rosalind gulped down, wondering whether she should be here or not. Still, if they truly got something big in this expedition, she might be able to receive a big award. And all of it came just because Kai wanted her to come. Anyway, I and Rosalind will be in the front because we are specialized in this area. Sophia and Sir Jules will support us from behind. Sir Arnaud will kill every single magical beast I want to kill. Kai commanded while looking at their expressions to see if they had any objection or not. Sophia only shrugged her shoulders since this was her role the whole time she was with Kai, and it was the one she was most comfortable with. Meanwhile, Rosalind panicked and couldn't help but ask, "Am I fit for this job? I mean, I have a certain confidence in my skill, but I don't know if I'm good enough or not. I'm afraid that I will do badly and become the burden of this team. Just follow my order and trust your skill. If you mess up, there are 2 people that will clean up your mess." Kai shrugged and pointed his thumb to Jules and Sophia. "That's right, brat. No need to thank me." Jules nodded his head a couple of times before glancing at Arnaud as if trying to pick a fight with him. Arnaud, on the contrary, asked Kai about his role. "Do you need anything specific for my role?" "No. That means you want to take advantage of my lightning magic and my speed to eliminate the monsters that see us, but you can't reach, right?" "Yes." "Well, I will be guiding you guys through the safest route, so you won't meet as many monsters as you usually find on a mission. But I'm sure that there will be many occasions where we need to fight. So I'm going to rely on you to make sure that no magical beasts will inform their comrades about our location." Arnaud pondered for a moment before agreeing to his role. "I understand. I will do my best. We may need to kill a few thousand, if not tens of thousands of magical beasts before reaching our destination. Keep up with me, okay?" Kai smiled as he brought all the stuff and stretched his body, preparing to go. The rest followed him as soon as he ran forward. "All right, let's go." Kai and Rosalind were in the very front with Arnaud right behind them. Jules and Sophia were watching those three's backs while preparing their magic. Despite wanting to show his superiority to Arnaud, Jules knew it would be a bad decision to continuously do it, as it might result in the failure of this mission. When they passed the elite soldiers, Kai found 5 beasts coming from the front. They turned out to be a group of horses with speed as fast as them. "Rosalind, how many horses can you kill in an instant?" Kai asked. "I'm not sure I have confidence in killing one, but I can do my best for 2. "Then go for 2. I will handle the rest." Kai nodded, wanting her to get used to the high-level maneuverability. Arnaud and Jules were silent as they observed Kai's movement to check whether Kai deserved his reputation or not. Rosalind gulped down and stepped on time to the left to avoid hitting Kai while pulling out her sword. Because of Kai's killing intent, 3 horses were taken away and had no change of direction, while the other 2 slightly turned to the right, matching Rosalind's movement. It was at this time Rosalind took a big step to the right to confuse the horses. Once again, they followed Rosalind's movement while watching out to not hit their comrades. When she saw that the horses focused on their group instead of her, she took another step to the left, completely leaving the horse's trajectory. She slashed her swords downward to strike the farthest horse's head while using her 8 spider legs to kill the horse before her eyes. And she managed to kill both at the same time without any problem. Arnaud couldn't help but smile and turned around to show that smug of his to Jules, but ended up regretting it because he missed a split second of Kai's performance. If they were asked whether Rosalind was a good fighter or not, they would say yes. However, Rosalind was shocked when she saw Kai in front of her while running at the same speed. This only meant one thing. Kai didn't slow down even once when killing the 3 horses, while she needed to do so by taking the first 3 steps and swinging her sword. The 2 elderly could also see the result while thinking about what just happened. "Oi, Kai Carter. Did you just kill the 3 horses without decreasing your speed?" Arnaud couldn't help but ask in amazement. The answer didn't come from him. It was Sophia. "Sir Arnaud, you need to know that this is just a basic thing in the Lion Group. When Michelle, Kai, and Ayaka were in front, I, Tasha, and Evan didn't even need to adjust ourselves to them. We only needed to avoid the falling corpses and continued running." "What?" Arnaud widened his eyes. "Are you serious?" Of course. We often went straight through the enemy's ranks, so we needed speed, sharpness, and technique. Michelle once said that she just couldn't accept losing to him after seeing how he and his teacher opened the path of a small underground tunnel without losing their speed. You can say that their groups are the #1 offensive group in the US base. Arnaud's face was twisted as he shook his head helplessly. No wonder so many people want him. Should I say, as expected of the rising star, Kai Carter? Sophia shrugged. Anyway, all we need is to keep moving. Rosalind, don't be sad. Watch his movement and try to do it on your own. I'm sure you can do the same thing sooner or later. This is essential for us to reach our destination as soon as possible. Well, I prefer we arrive before night. Rosalind looked back and made a weird smile before nodding her head. I understand. She then turned to Kai and said, Please take care of me. Kai smiled. Sure, make sure you keep up with me. If you fail, just let the two old men behind us deal with it. Oi, brat. Arnaud and Jules shouted simultaneously. Chapter 444, Journey Part 2. The group continued their journey, going through Syria. Luckily, they managed to reach their destination 1 hour before dark. Setting up the tent, Arnaud asked Kai, Can I see the route? I mean, we are going to Iraq and Iran. It's a vast area if you ask me, so it's better to have a route. Kai took out his device and opened the map. He showed him the simple one. Arnaud furrowed his eyebrows. So from your map, we will cross southern Iraq until we reach Kuwait. Then we will return to Iraq through the second bigger city, Basra, before making our way to the capital Baghdad and reached far to the north to the city of Erbil. Yes. I'm sure you don't mind having this kind of schedule since it's the perfect one to reach northern Iran. What is the city name again? Kai nodded and thought for a moment. Tabriz. From there, we will go with a vertical zigzag to search all the areas until we reach Tehran and Isfahan. Yep, we will go northeast after that, until we reach the border between Iran and Turkmenistan. Only at that time can we go all the way to the south while following Afghanistan and Pakistan's borders before running near the Persian Gulf to go back. If we don't find it by that time, then this mission will be considered a failure. Arnaud contemplated for a moment and asked, Do you actually know what you're dealing with here? Yes, but I won't say anything about it unless we find them. I have a friend that tells me they are here. Kai nodded. He wondered what Arnaud would think if he knew the informant was someone who could destroy the entire EU base with ease the moment he was provoked. I understand. Although there are flaws in some areas, I think this is the most effective way to find them. Don't worry. My ears have a 5-kilometer radius, so we should be good enough. Kai nodded, assuring him that this expedition had a good chance of success. All right. Since you have a vision already, I'm going to follow you through this course. That's good enough. With our speed, how many days do you think we need to cross this route? He looked down with his hand on his chin, falling into deep thought. After a while, he opened his mouth. With my calculation, we need around 3 weeks if we only need to run. Since Rosalind has started getting used to your current pace, I think it will be a month if we need to handle those beasts. Is there any powerful magical beast in this area? Some powerful A-rank magical beasts. As for the S-rank magical beast, we have found one in Sudan, one in Congo, and one in Zimbabwe. On the northern side, there are 3 across all of Russia's territory, 2 in China and 1 in India. Unless there are new S-rank magical beasts, I don't think we will find them. That's good, but don't say that too obvious, you know. It's going to appear. Kai shrugged. I mean, even my holiday got disturbed by a sudden appearance of an S-rank magical beast. I know, I won't say it again. He shrugged. Though I'm sure there are still many intelligent beasts in this area, so it's not like we are going to have a good time. Don't worry about the intelligent beasts. We can deal with them easily. The problem will be our supply. Because we don't have a truck since we are going through a place with hard terrain, we have limited water supplies. Ah, now I see your true plan. You are planning to get water supplies from all these areas, right? He pointed to a few areas. Yes. Well, we will see whether they are pure or not. Agreed. For now, I don't think we have a problem. After agreeing to him, Arnaud handed back Kai's device before asking, Do you happen to have an idea of selling your information to the Union? We can grant you millions, if not billions, depending on the information. I don't have any information that is worth your millions. Kai shook his head, humbly rejecting the idea. If he truly opened it all, even if they gave the entire EU base to him, Kai still felt it wasn't enough. After all, the fact that there were many other magical beasts that could potentially rule the world through military might was priceless. Arnaud also had the gist of it, but he knew that there was no way he would be able to acquire it unless they dared to pay the price. After all, He only shared this secret with his teacher, even if it was a little. Unless they had the same status as him, no one would know about the information, which only the protector of each race had the right to know. Anyway, we will have a long journey ahead, so it's better to think about it instead of mumbling about this useless thing. Kai shrugged and walked away, finding Rosalind preparing the food while Sophia and Jules scouted their surroundings. Arnaud looked at him with a serious expression before shaking his head. They continued the night as usual. When the morning arrived, they quickly packed up their stuff and started their journey to Iraq. The journey went as planned. They killed all the magical beasts in their way. Rosalind managed to get used to Kai's fighting style slowly. Arnaud went around like crazy, under Kai's order to kill the potential monsters that would ambush or inform the other monsters, and was impressed by Kai's ears. Sophia just maintained her support for Kai, while her grandfather took care of Rosalind, since she didn't have much experience in an expedition like this. However, Kai and the others were unaware of the fact they would meet something out of the ordinary in Iraq. In a certain place, there were two people, one man and one woman. The woman had long black hair tied into a ponytail. She wore a red hakama while running through the desert. Meanwhile, the guy wore a white one. They would look like a normal couple, but if one took another look at them, they are Chapter 445, Encounter. The first week was rather fulfilling. Not only could he train Rosalind a bit to match their pace, but the group didn't bother to fight with each other anymore. Sir Arnaud, 3 on our left, Kai commanded while listening to the footsteps of 3 magical beasts coming before focusing on the 10 in front of them. Arnaud nodded as lightning covered his body. His power and speed were boosted greatly as he raised both hands like a boxer. The 3 magical beasts roared, but Arnaud disappeared from his position, moving so fast. Even Kai got taken aback at first, but he seemed slower than Akida Kenzo, so he simply took note of his speed and was done with it. Arnaud appeared right next to the 3 beasts and threw a punch forward. The lightning sparked and obliterated the 3 beasts in an instant. Kai took down the ones coming for him with ease as the group continued forward. Their current location was that of savannah, so their position would be exposed all the time. Luckily, they had found a nearby forest where they could cover their appearance while crossing this area. We are going to use that forest since we are already at the edge of this savannah. We can have lunch there, Kai informed the group and listened to the movement. Right, it's still 5 kilometers though. We need a few more minutes to reach there. No worries. Take our time. There are still 50 beasts to kill. Kai smiled as he had planned their movement as soon as they entered his hearing range. The group was not surprised anymore, and followed his command wholeheartedly since Kai had proven himself during the past week. However, there was one weird thing happening on the edge of his hearing range. Right in front of the forest's entrance, he found 2 people's footsteps marching toward them. Kai narrowed his eyes and asked Arnaud, "Are you sure there is no person who has stepped upon this land?" "Yes, why?" Arnaud answered with bewilderment. "Because there are 2 people coming out of the forest soon." Kai pointed right in front of them. The group couldn't believe what they just heard, but Arnaud took this more seriously. The moment Kai gave the direction, the lightning sparked again as he said, "I'm going to check them." Kai nodded, and Arnaud disappeared right after, moving faster than anyone else to help whoever Kai found. After all, they never found someone venturing this deep. In his mind, they were either refugees or an original survivor that had lasted for centuries. If it were the latter, their knowledge would benefit the entire Union, so he wanted to secure them no matter what. Yet, he couldn't even be more shocked when the 2 made their appearances. The male had silver hair and cold blue eyes, but the most noticeable thing on his face was a pair of horns. If Kai were here, he would recognize these horns. But Arnaud just misunderstood him, thinking he was a zodiac, but it also contained a problem since he never heard of any zodiacs other than Kai and the others. At the same time, his clothes were close to that of Japanese hakama, so he had no clue about this person. There was nowhere United Asia had a zodiac. He then looked at the other one, who turned out to be female. Her black hair and facial features appeared to be someone from United Asia, and the fact that the male seemed to be holding her hand as if dragging her somewhere made Arnaud think she was kidnapped from United Asia all the way here. The male seemed to have the same thought as Arnaud as he raised his right hand that was holding a huge black sword. Seeing this hostile action, Arnor couldn't help but release his lightning toward the sword to blow it away. Lightning discharge. The male clenched his teeth as his black sword turned red before he smacked the lightning to the side, blowing it away until it exploded to the ground. He then slashed forward to cut Arnor. Arnor dropped on his knees to dodge that swing and pulled both hands, planning to strike the male's abdomen to knock him out. Great lightning shesh. Before he could finish the magic, Arnor was blasted several meters away as the male just kicked his face. What a strong kick! Arnor quickly raised from the ground and looked at the male with a serious expression. "Who are you?" The male didn't respond and quickly turned around, planning to escape. Unfortunately for him, Arnor didn't let him go as he appeared again despite blood coming out of his mouth. "I shall take you into custody first." The male obviously found that offensive and kicked Arnor again, but the latter seemed to expect this kind of attack and received it with one hand. Arnor then jumped to make the male slip, but it didn't go as he planned as another kick sent him away again. Bam! If Arnor didn't have his exoskeleton, he would be in trouble by the 2 kicks alone, as it would probably crack his skull. It could even spin its body to send another kick. This guy must be a human. Yeah, a Zodiac. As for his backstory, I will hear it after capturing this guy. Arnor clicked his tongue and chased him again. The male got angry because of Arnor's persistence and raised his sword. The red-colored sword emitted powerful magic energy before the male swung the sword downwards. A red-colored sword strike ran through the ground, creating a small shockwave to its surroundings. Arnor widened his eyes and jumped to the side before observing the after effect for a split second, finding something unbelievable. At least, that was what it looked like to him. The slash created a 2 meters deep hole that stretched over 30 meters straight. Even he had no ability to do something like this. Knowing that the person before him was probably so strong, he planned to receive Kai's assistance. "I will buy time for now. And there is also the female. Should I rescue her first?" thought Arnor, before jumping to the air as the male just sent a low kick. Arnor would probably become even more annoying sooner or later, so he planned to kill him first. After all, he could sense a powerful person coming toward him, and he would reach this place in a minute, so he needed to run away as soon as possible. He let go of the woman's hand for a bit, and jumped toward Arnor with both hands on his sword. "What is this? I feel fear?" Arnor widened his eyes as if he got disturbed by the sudden transformation of the male after letting the woman go. This simply meant that the man would get even stronger. Gulping down, Arnor raised both hands and started moving to the left and right to confuse the male. If this were a normal person, he would have been defeated already. Unfortunately for him, his opponent was not an ordinary human, or he couldn't even be called human anymore. The male simply struck the ground with his giant sword, creating a crater. Arnor found himself in a dangerous situation because his feet didn't touch the ground because of the sudden strike. He stepped on the ground first, but the earlier pause disrupted his rhythm as his opponent managed to catch up and stopped him from using that confusing movement. Arnor raised both hands and created 3 magic shields next to him to block that sword, but all of them ended up getting shattered into pieces. Luckily, it bought enough time for him to duck down and retreat a few steps, going toward the woman. The male found his attention and quickly protected her again, as if he was afraid this woman got stolen by Arnor. "Whoever you are going to pay for this." Arnor threatened the male while clenching his fists, ready for another round. His opponent also took one step back before launching himself forward, swinging his sword. The two seemed to have forgotten the fact that Kai was able to see them already and used his strength to reach them. That was why when Arnor took one big step forward to hit the man, Kai appeared between them, confusing both people with his action. "Kai Carter, move!" Arnor shouted, knowing that his attack would surely hit Kai if he didn't dodge. The same applied to the male, but he didn't say anything since there wasn't a need to do so. Surprisingly, Kai didn't do anything. Even his swords were not in his hands. He stomped the ground, crossed his hands right in front of his chest, and opened his palm, trying to receive both fist and sword at the same time. 2 green-colored magic circles appeared on his hands. Oscillation shield. The lightning was blown away as Arnor ended up hitting the shield without any power. The same applied to the male because he couldn't cut this magic shield. Before the two could recover, Kai's magic circles disappeared and their momentum forced them to get closer to Kai. He then grabbed Arnaud and the male's wrists and opened his arms wide, spinning them to the air. Arnaud widened his eyes and shouted, "What are you doing, Kai Carter?" Even Jules couldn't say anything regarding this person, because he never saw someone having horns on his head. Sophia had some understanding about it, but she couldn't confirm it yet, since the only one she met was Mia. When the male landed, he clenched his sword, knowing that there was a strong opponent here. Right before he jumped forward, Kai suddenly shouted with the only other race language he had learned. Chapter 446, Shinkai. The people who came with him had no idea what he was saying. In fact, he looked like moving his jaw weirdly while the sound came out. However, it was different for the couple. The woman dropped her jaw, while the male narrowed his eyes and said instinctively, "Oni language?" Kai simply waved his hand to the others to stop whatever questions they wanted to ask him and decided to focus on the Oni before him first. Who is Ishi to you? How dare you speak our protector's name without honorifics?" When he was about to erupt, Kai suddenly released his killing intent and shouted, "Shut your mouth, Oni! You are in the presence of the human race protector." The Oni couldn't comprehend. Human race protector? He didn't know about it at all. "I have once visited your village and met Ishi and his daughter Mia myself. Depending on your words, the two races' futures can go either to war or in harmony. Do you think Ishi wants a war?" The moment he heard this, he quickly realized that Ishi truly had met him. All Oni knew Ishi wished for their lives to go by peacefully, but no one other than the humans in the Oni village would know. Considering Kai's face was not among them, no one other than the protector itself knew about this wish. When both he and the female human realized it, they exchanged looks for a split second before dropping to their knees. "We would like to apologize for our rudeness, Sir Protector." The Oni lowered his head and showed no resistance. Arnaud and the others dropped their jaws to the ground as they couldn't believe what they were witnessing. The Oni's ability was far from normal, and Arnaud believed he could be on par with two S-rank magicians. Yet, the same Oni actually kneeled in front of Kai. His face also contained fear on it. Before Kai said another word, he suddenly looked to the right, where he found something powerful coming their way. The footsteps were light, yet, with so many footsteps echoing in the area, Kai believed they were coming for the Oni. "They are chasing you?" Kai narrowed his eyes. "Yes, sir. Their strength, their leader, is what the human called an S-rank magical beast. We have been running for more than a day." Kai contemplated for a moment and asked, "What is your purpose for coming here? If I'm not wrong, Ishi doesn't want to do anything with the outside world." "Sir is right. However, my wife is actually one of the tribe members of a certain place in Iran, so she would like to visit them back. I'm escorting my wife there with the permission of our king." "And during the journey, you met this one?" "Yes." Kai thought for a moment and took out his necklace, showing it to the woman. "Do you know about this, or do you speak only the other language?" Kai tested the woman to see whether they talked human language or Oni language. The woman seemed to know both, but because she had become a part of Oni village, she answered Kai in that language. "Gamutala, the protector seal. It is said to be missing for hundreds of years, and some said it's trying to find its master. A certain someone gave it to me." Kai shrugged and looked to their right. "With your strength, I'm sure you can fight against the beast that chased you, no? Why are you running?" The Oni didn't answer before Kai realized the reason was the woman. He shook his head helplessly and continued, "I'm planning to visit the tribe as well to learn more about my role as the protector. The two women behind me will protect her well while we and the two old men take on the beast. After that, you are going to show us the way to the tribe. What do you think of this proposal?" The Oni looked at his wife as the latter nodded her head. He then agreed to Kai's proposal, adding, "I can stop the beasts around him as a showdown. However, there are 3 warriors coming with that beast. They are loyal to their master, but their strength is not comparable to us. I can have the 2 to handle those 3. Meanwhile, we can take on the boss. As you know, my strength is still not at the full-fledged protector's level. That's the reason I'm visiting the tribe." After facing Arnaud, he knew his strength and believed there shouldn't be a problem. He thought for a moment and lowered his head. "My name is Shinkai. The 4th best fighter of Oni village shall assist you in your voyage." "Good. Prepare yourself for a fight. I will tell my people first. Understood. Kai then turned around and looked at them with a serious expression. I know you have a lot of questions. I don't want to answer them right now because there is an S-rank magical beast coming toward us. The group quickly turned their heads before Sophia asked, Kai are they? Yes. Don't say anything other than that. If you want to have a huge war that can potentially destroy the entire EU base, you can say everything about your hypothesis. Just so you know, I won't say anything regarding this matter. Kai shrugged and looked at Arnaud. Your question will be answered when we arrive at our destination. Whether you're going to report it to the Union or not is a separate matter. Arnaud gulped down as he wondered about the relationship between this weird person and Kai. Kai ignored him and continued, I want Sophia and Rosalind to protect the woman. Make sure no harm comes to her since she will lead us to our destination after this. Rosalind was not sure and looked to Arnaud while Sophia nodded without hesitation. There will be 3 powerful monsters you two need to handle. We will be showing you which 3, said Kai to Arnaud and Jules. Don't attack other magical beasts other than those 3 because they will be docile. If you want to know what I mean, just don't ask any question and see it with your eyes. Before that, I want to ask you, are you really a human? Jules narrowed his eyes. I am a full-fledged human. My family also came from United Asia. I can assure you that I'm on human side. Kai nodded with a grim expression. His tone told them that Kai was sincere, but he truly hid something big behind him. Remembering Kai's promise that all questions would be answered when they reached their destination, Arnaud decided to nod his head. I understand. I shall ask no more. Oh wow, are we going to face a stampede? Just look at the dust kicked by them, Jules suddenly said in amazement. With the size of the dust alone, I'm sure there will be at least 1,000 of them or even more. Arnaud also observed the situation and saw that all the monsters in this savannah began roaring at each other as if they were welcoming this group. At the same time, Kai asked Shinkai, is there a potential for negotiation? Even I don't want to kill needlessly, especially if the other party is related to a protector. Shinkai shook his head. I have tried and it doesn't respond. Hence, I believe he is just getting stronger with enough luck to become like this. Then I don't need to worry about anything. Kai nodded. Rosalind and Sophia then approached the female and asked her to follow them to the back while these 4 faced those beasts. After Shinkai saw his woman was taken care of and knew that a protector's promise was worth a fortune, he began concentrating on the upcoming battle so as to not disappoint the protector. When the monsters began coming out, they found a 3-meter-high bull leading the entire pack filled with so many species. The bull had red skin and bloodshot eyes. The white horns seemed to have killed so many living beings, to the point almost everything was painted red. Finding Shinkai with someone else, the bull roared to the sky, inciting the other magical beasts to do the same to scare them. Jules and Arnaud gritted their teeth and took a step back while raising their hands, preparing to take any immediate action. Still, with so many magical beasts moving in unison like this was unprecedented. Even they couldn't predict that only 2,000 magical beasts managed to scare them like this. The bull, on the other hand, suddenly coated its skin with magic, turning it into black, without even touching it. Kai and the others knew it would be like clashing with moving metal, or even worse, raw. Suddenly, the Oni roared, telling all the beasts not to interfere in this matter. Jules and Arnaud needed to reevaluate Kai Carter the moment they saw thousands of magical beasts just stopped on their track and fell silent. The Oni then pointed at 3 magical beasts. The first one was a giraffe. Unlike a normal one, this giraffe had black skin as if it was covered by metal. The second one was an elephant with fire covering its body. The third beast was a gorilla. Just like Arnaud, his body was covered by lightning and seemed to like a fistfight too. You have those 3 targets, Kai shouted to Arnaud and Jules as they began to go around them to face those 3. Meanwhile, Kai and Shinkai walked toward the bull. Kill him as soon as possible. Yes, sir. Chapter 448. Doubt. While the 2 got shocked, the woman behind her looked at them as if looking at fools. Kai Carter was their absolute king, as well as their strongest fighter. If he truly gained his throne as the human race's protector, Kai would have killed an S-rank magical beast in a single blow. Her eyes were filled with doubts because she never visited any places or followed the news. After setting off for a journey, she never visited any living cities and went around the places with her group. Unfortunately, she got into an accident and separated from the rest of her group. Wanting to survive and return to her home, it turned out she couldn't do it and needed to hide from one place to another. The journey ended up getting even worse because she gradually drifted away from her home all the way to China after 1 year. Surviving skill was the basic thing they needed to learn in that civilization. So she could somehow kill some weak monsters as well as searching for herbs, so staying alive might be hard but not impossible. When she arrived in China, Shinkai actually met her, finding that her clothes were not similar to the people in United Asia. It was then he suspected her as someone from another place. As he was one of the top fighters in Oni village, he somehow learned about her identity and asked to go back to Oni village first to ask Ishii whether she could return or not because of the distance and territory. Before Ishii gave an answer, she actually told him that she would like to become his wife since the people back in her home thought she had died because of the accident. That answer stopped Ishii from expelling her and took her in. Then at one point she suddenly missed home so much to the point she didn't feel like doing anything. Shinkai became concerned and begged Ishii to let him go with or without his wife's permission. No matter how hard she denied him, Shinkai knew that she was missing home. There was also a chance that they needed to be separated when they returned since everyone in their territories was a bit overprotective to their own kin. Even so, Shinkai wanted her to be happy and settle everything. She knew that kindness in his heart that had been shown since they first met. That was why she married him. Unfortunately, because of this, she never came out of Oni village, making her common sense limited to Oni village and her hometown. That knowledge gave her enough understanding about the Protector and the fact that someday someone would come to that place. The race protectors were Earth's great defenders, ensuring that everything was all right. Hence they were blessed by everything, especially the strength to enforce the rule and protect the entire race. She once heard that a protector was a kind of a natural disaster itself, since they could use magic close to a natural disaster. Thus, she couldn't comprehend why the girls didn't know their protector, Kai Carter's real worth. She had heard that someone once visited their place a few hundred years ago and left to seek the protector, so she thought that person had told everyone about this type of thing, or at least made their important people know something about their protector. Since the people around him seemed to be important enough, she thought they should know about it. Unfortunately, they seemed to be clueless, so she wondered which one went wrong. Did the person in the past tell them something? If yes, then it wouldn't be lost even if the world was ruined because of the apocalypse. She wanted to believe that the person didn't tell them anything, but there was the item to tell the world that Kai Carter was the protector on his neck, so she was baffled by the whole situation. Either way, she observed the battle carefully. Kai, on the contrary, understood why they were talking about him, but he simply ignored them, feeling great about this new power. To think that something so simple would give him this kind of benefit. He seemed to have a misunderstanding about the concept of magic this whole time. He admitted that his magic was nasty. From lullaby to supersonic sword, they were good in their own way. However, the doubt started to appear in Kai's heart when he realized the power behind his magic just by slightly changing its purpose. The vibration sword, that was capable of cutting anything, could be changed into a massive destruction weapon like his boot. If he chose a spear or a mace instead, the power would be more catastrophic. There was an option to discover more about his magic, to search for another way to use it, but he needed to focus on the mission first. After slashing the bull's body until it cut through since the bull had exhausted itself because of the continuous attacks from him and Shinkai, Kai finally took a deep breath of relief. We finally killed it. Good work. Shinkai nodded and replied, Sir, I think you may want to talk to my wife about the story of the Protector first while we're on the way there. I don't mind. Kai agreed without hesitation. I have never heard any of it myself, so I'm curious. Well, to answer your earlier question, I only learned the Oni language because I just realized my role not long ago and somehow visited the Oni village, meeting Ishii and his daughter. After talking about various things, I requested him to teach me the language. You can learn it easily in your... Wait, I see. Shinkai shook his head helplessly, realizing that there wasn't a single record about the Protectors in human history. Those who ventured outside and watched the changing eras would surely know that it was better to keep this matter secret. just like the witches a few centuries ago. He might be mistaken and killed because they couldn't accept that someone had the ability while they did not. Then, in modern society, his body might become a laboratory rat instead of a proper human being. That was why Kai had no idea about his identity. Although he didn't know from whom he knew about it, he chose to remain silent and believe that Rapaka gave him the information instead of any other people. Different from them, those who believed that Kai was the ruler of the entire human race would treat him like that of a king. Even if they had the power to overturn all the civilizations to help the Protector, they couldn't do it because no matter what anyone said, they were still humans. Meanwhile, Kai asked another question. What do you think about this world? This world that will soon turn chaotic. There's nothing I desire other than a peaceful Oni village. Shinkai shook his head, indirectly saying that other than Ishii's request, he wouldn't interfere with anything in this world. At least, we're done here. Let's rest first and continue our journey later. I understand. If I may suggest, it's better to go from tomorrow morning because the bull's death will cause a bit of chaotic situation. Sure. Kai nodded and returned to Sophia and the others with a smile. Not long after, Arnaud and Jules killed their opponents before Shinkai's roar dispersed the magical beasts. Both Arnaud and Jules had this glare after finishing their job, as if they wanted to say something, yet waiting for Kai to say it. Of course, how could they not? Kai was able to talk with another language that they believed wasn't a human language, and the fact that this person was so polite to Kai, it was easy to see the difference in the hierarchy. With a single roar, the guy might be able to control tens of thousands of magical beasts to attack the Union. If Kai were also at the helm, the result would be disastrous. They didn't even have confidence whether they could win against him or not, considering Kai was famous because he was a genius of warfare. Still, the fact that Kai just killed another S-rank magical beast so easily truly shocked them. There was no doubt that Kai might have surpassed his teacher, Ria Ross. And if he were to be given one more year to develop in high school, he might become the strongest person in the world, the youngest one on top of that. This would turn the world into chaos. There might be a huge ruckus in United Asia because he had a grudge against the Katsuragi family that once wanted to kill him. Either way, they still followed Kai to rest on the side. Even though there were many monsters nearby, Kai seemed to not care about them because they had been ordered not to attack them. When the night came, Kai looked at their curious faces and shrugged. I won't explain anything. There's nothing I can tell you. Besides, I think someone will answer everything when we arrive, so just wait for... Before finishing his words, he turned around and asked Shinkai how long the journey will take. Again? 2 days by foot. But if Sir wants to use some beasts, we can reach that place before night if we leave tomorrow morning. I can't talk to them though. Don't worry, I will be handling everything. Then, I will be relying on you to get them. I think it will be a good experience for me too. Thank you very much, sir. Shinkai surprisingly thanked Kai for that decision. But when he glanced at his wife, his intention was already discovered. He wanted to ride a beast so that his wife would have an easier time. Chapter 449. Arrival. When the next day came, Kai washed his face with the little water they had. Sophia and Jules had woken up a few hours ago because they needed to watch out through the night. Still, they seemed to be arguing over something, and the fact that they used their devices to talk meant the talk was important and most likely concerned about him. Considering they just witnessed something so absurd yesterday, Kai could understand her action and chose to trust her. Roslyn and Arnaud seemed to have been arguing how to report this type of incident to the higher-ups too. Due to how insane this incident was, they were not confident they could convince the higher-ups they all were true. Because of the continuous fight, Arnaud didn't activate his camera while Roslyn was too shocked to do that. But they needed to convey the fact that Kai indeed killed an S-rank magical beast with only another person that was suspected to be a Zodiac. After a few hours, they agreed to understand the whole circumstances first before they knew what to report and what they couldn't afford to report. After all, Kai promised them that most, if not all, their questions would be answered when they reached their destination. A possibility that they would receive a greater power was also there. So they agreed to talk to Kai first before giving the full report. If Kai was displeased, there was a chance that a catastrophe would appear, so it was wise to discuss the matter with him every time they got something new. While waiting for the others to get ready, Kai stretched his body and found Shinkai next to him. Good morning. Good morning, sir. Are you sure we will arrive today? Yes. In that case, what are we going to ride today? Kai thought for a moment and looked at the right. There are zebras over there. Then we shall ride those. Shinkai nodded in agreement. After calculating their number again, Shinkai visited those zebras, having a small talk. Since they had magic power, even without a saddle, they wouldn't feel anything because of shaking, so Kai wasn't that bothered with it. Not long after, Shinkai returned with 7 zebras. I have returned, sir. This is the best one, so please ride this one, sir. Kai nodded. Although he didn't really care about the best or anything, he couldn't just shake it off that easily, especially after that careful thought from the other party. Thank you. Shinkai lowered his head and left to his wife. Kai then moved to the zebra that Shinkai chose and stretched his hand gently, not touching him yet. Suddenly, the zebra slowly leaned his head to Kai's palm and gently brushed it, showing his approval. I will be counting on you. Kai smiled and stroked the zebra's head. The zebra let out a sound to show his approval. Meanwhile, the others still hesitated, because never in a million chances would they think of riding a magical beast. Kai also understood their worry and said, Don't worry. They are not dangerous. In fact, we can go without killing any magical beasts anymore, because he and the zebras will tell the others to stay away from us. With their help, we will be able to reach the destination today. Kai gave a thumb up before trying to hop onto the zebra. I'm counting on you, okay? The zebra nodded and slowly walked around them. Surprisingly, the zebra put more effort into making Kai more comfortable. Even when it tried to run around, Kai didn't feel anything and praised the zebra instead while stroking his head. Sophia looked a bit hesitant, but since Kai already showed them, she was the first to move closer to the zebra and stretched her hand like how Kai did. The first time. The zebra gave the same reaction to her, and even lowered its head as if he recognized the relationship between Sophia and Kai. It was a kind of animal instinct, but the zebra was completely right. Sophia couldn't help but smile as she gently hopped onto the zebra and gently stroked his head. I'm counting on you. The zebra nodded and walked toward Kai as if telling him that everything would be fine. Arnaud and Jules exchanged looks and knew they shouldn't be surprised again. They shook their heads helplessly and rode the zebras too. Meanwhile, Rosalind just finished the chore and handed them their bags while shaking her head. Kai and the others thanked her since they forgot about it and had her do it alone. After another 5 minutes, they all were ready to set off. Kai asked the zebra to go to the front and said, All right, let's not waste any more time and go to our destination. The zebra began running from slow to its max speed. As expected from a magical beast, its speed was faster than a normal zebra. Nonetheless, Kai raised his hands, feeling free from any restraint while enjoying the breeze. This is nice, ha ha ha. I want to do something like this once in a while. Sophia and the others facepalmed as Kai didn't know what would happen if people knew about this. Kai might become an experimental subject or even the enemy of humanity. However, the latter never cared about such a thing, knowing that everything was going to be all right, with a protector from the sea becoming their enemy. If Kai actually abandoned them, humanity would be wiped out of the map, and according to the information he had gathered until now, this hidden place seemed to be going to recognize his status and accepted him among them. At that time, this place would surely become the new home for him, his girlfriends, and his family. Kai didn't know if he had the heart to be ruthless, but he surely wanted to see how much they regretted their choice to become his enemy. When they crossed the savannah, they found that the magical beasts actually ignored them, proving Kai's words even further. They realized that with Sheena's power, they would be able to control the magical beasts. Arnaud believed this was the latent potential of a zodiac, but couldn't say anything because he hadn't ascertained Shikari's real identity. Jules, on the contrary, decided not to care much after last night's argument. Since Sophia chose to be with him, even if he were a devil, Jules decided to let her go, hoping that she would visit them from time to time. Jules seemed to have given her permission if she wished to follow Kai to the US base. Of course, there would be so many things that needed to be done before she could go there again, but more or less she could do whatever she wanted, especially since she wasn't the current successor. After 2 hours, Shinkai finally came to Kai and said, Sir, before going there, do you wish to know a bit more about this place? My wife seems to want to tell you something. Kai thought for a moment and nodded. Shinkai's wife then went to the front and lowered her head politely. Greetings, my king. First of all, I would like to thank you for helping this lowly subject and apologize because I can't speak the human language with so many people around us. That's fine by me, since they shouldn't know this before reaching the destination. Kai waved his hand, telling her it wasn't a big deal. She nodded and continued. There are actually 3 things you need to know before they tell you the rest. The first will be the custom. Because of our policy, outsiders are not allowed. It's to maintain our secrecy and such. I know that this is too much, but we have someone with mind magic that will wipe their memories about this place. Of course, if my king wished to make an exception about this custom, you can do it. But we still need to wipe important memories about it, especially the location. Kai closed his eyes and sighed. As expected. It comes to this, huh? Well, it's been hidden for thousands of years, so I won't break that tradition, but they still need to know a few things. Yes, she nodded. The second thing will be about magic power. My king can know the method to get more magic power inside your body, but other than your families, no one is allowed to learn this method. I understand. With the current situation, letting them learn it won't be that much of a difference, so I can wait until everything is settled. Last but not least, we beg you not to tell anyone about this place. Ha ha ha. Just like the talk between protectors is prohibited from being known, I will keep everything a secret. You don't need to worry about it. She lowered her head again and slowed down, leaving Kai alone in the front. Kai looked to the sky and let out a long sigh, feeling that trouble would be coming soon. A few hours later, suddenly, after venturing for so long, they found 2 humans, one male and one female, standing in the middle of nowhere. The guy had long black hair tied neatly on his back. His deep blue eyes watched Kai carefully to check something. He wore a blue shirt buttoned all the way to the top, and black, long pants. The girl, on the other hand, had blue hair, a bit shorter than the guy's hair. She looked the opposite of him, especially with her black eyes and black shirt. She looked like wearing jeans, but there seemed to be some patterns on them. Feeling their gaze, Kai decided to leap off the beast and landed on the ground gracefully as he slowly walked toward them. There seemed to be a movement as well from behind him. Yes, the one who moved behind him was none other than Shinkai's wife. All 3 of them suddenly kneeled on one knee, lowering their heads politely. We greet our king. Chapter 450. Priests and Priestesses. We greet our king. Everyone was stunned when they heard this sentence. Without a doubt, they spoke English. Yet, it was weird to hear it because of Shinkai and his wife, who had yet to say something in English. The silence completely stunned them, but only Kai actually noticed the difference between this place and other areas they had crossed. There wasn't a single noise from the magical beasts in his hearing range. Instead, all of them appeared to be the voices from the area before him. Still, no one seemed to be able to listen to their voices, so it was no wonder this place hadn't been discovered for thousands of years. Seeing the expression on Kai's face, they knew Kai was a protector because every single protector would be born with a pair of ears that could hear everything. The male finally introduced himself. We are the 44th generation of priest and priestess of Emulda clan. My name is Devane Aguilar, and she is Leah Arnell. We would like to greet you at our humble palace, Emulda clan. I've heard that no outsiders can't enter, Kai said with a hesitant tone, stopping to see their expressions. Leah smiled and explained. If my king permits, they shall be exempted from those rules. But we're surprised to see you've met one of us, Aulia Colonel. I met her on my way here. She and her husband have guided me to this place. Kai nodded. Oni. Devane narrowed his eyes, contemplated, and nodded in understanding. I understand. I shall be informing this matter to the Grand Priest. For now, I would like to invite you inside. Would you mind following me? Before coming to a decision, he turned around and looked at their expressions. Arnaud and Rosalind were ready for this, so they nodded their heads. Even if they died, it would be recorded as having fallen in a mission. Sophia didn't care much about any of those things. Seeing him coming to the other side alone was already enough for her to go to the other side. Shinkai was also the same, since he came here to accompany his wife to meet her family. The last one that had a problem with this was none other than Jules. He also had another responsibility, which was his family. If he went back, he could still stay strong to protect the family, but if he died inside, the Campbell family would start declining. He was sure that the Union would use that opportunity to suppress his family. But when he took another look at it, if he died in this place, Arnaud would also die, so he believed his son would be able to handle everything. Besides, with Kai and Sophia's relationship, Kai wouldn't really let their family decline just like that, so Jules decided to come as well. After getting confirmation from their expressions, Kai turned around and nodded. Sure, let's go inside. The priest and priestess then rose from the ground and clapped their hands at the same time. Clap. A pair of magic circles right behind them before the necklace he got from Rapaka started glowing. It is resonating. Kai narrowed his eyes and found a circular torrential air appear between the priest and priestess like that of a portal. Behind them, he could find a stone road along with a few buildings on the sides. Still, what took his focus was none other than the giant building on the end of the road. The structure had a simple cube shape, but there were some slopes around them, making it different from any other. There were also tall stairs that seemed to be the main entrance. So, this is the place. Kai took a deep breath and gradually walked toward the portal before stopping right in front of it. I can hear many people around the entrance. They are just doing their daily activities. Please pay no mind to them, Leah explained with a smile, standing right behind Kai together with the priest. After contemplating for a few seconds, Kai decided to enter the portal while signaling the others to follow him. Surprisingly, the buildings seemed to be made of bricks and cement. Yet, Kai could notice that the house seemed to follow the style of a few hundred years prior. Kai fell silent the moment he entered the portal because people began to notice his presence, followed by many outsiders along with their priest and priestess. Someone is escorted by the priest and priestess? There are also outsiders. There's even an Oni of the East. What is happening here? Is he? The people started whispering to each other in a language Kai and the others couldn't understand, but Kai got the gist of what they were saying from their tones and heartbeats. They were doubting his identity. Before anyone could have a misconception, while Devane closed the portal, Leah came forward and clarified. Please give us our way. Our king has come. The world is in turmoil, and there's a chance that this place will be targeted in the future. The people hesitated once they heard it. To everyone's surprise, each person began to kneel on one knee, saluting Kai. Kai looked at their attire and found so many current trend clothing styles. Some also even used traditional clothes from a few countries. They seemed to have gone all over the world to observe the trend and the world's development, incorporating that knowledge into their own place. Kai didn't know why, but the path to go to the biggest building had been opened. Leah and Devane walked to the front and stretched their hands. Please, this way. Kai nodded and followed them without saying anything to the people there. He didn't know their language, so it was better to keep his silence for a moment. The group reached the big building after a 5-minute walk and started to climb the building. He looked left and right to see these orange-colored stones that looked like the pyramids, but slightly different. He didn't know this material, but he understood that the pyramid must be built by people with power. In other words, when the magic particles were still dense in the air and strengthened the humans' physical abilities, the humans built all those monuments. It is not a legend anymore. Kai thought while checking their surroundings. From his ears, he could perceive around 10,000 people living in the city. He could also find many fields, from food to sports. Considering they needed to live here for thousands of years, he thought they also needed some fun things. In fact, he found others listening to the television. This place, or he could also call it this cage, was isolated but not isolated at the same time. When he raised his vision, he could see a thin layer of barrier that seemed to be hiding this place from the real world, but they could still see the scenery outside and experienced rain. As for the water, they seemed to have their own way of acquiring it, along with other things from the real world. Still, when he took a look at this place, the people didn't seem to be that bad, at least in their happiness. This is a good city, Kai couldn't help but mutter. The group halted and looked at him before taking a glance at the city. Devane nodded with a smile. Thank you for the praise, my king. We're proud to cultivate this entire town. Kai turned back and continued going up. Anyway, I think we shouldn't waste any more time. I can hear someone grumbling about my arrival. What Kai said was the truth. He indeed heard a female's voice coming from inside this building. Yet, there seemed to be another man besides her, smacking her head saying, You can't say that. That. Leah scratched the back of her head, wondering how to introduce that person to him. I think it's better for my king to meet her yourself. She is the previous generation priestess, Abba Eon. I'm sure that someone is next to her, waiting for you. He is our mentor, the previous generation priest, Aston Mayan, added Devane while stretching his hand. I believe we should hurry up. After retiring from their position, they have become the grand priest and priestess, whose purpose is to train the next generation like us. I see. Then, we shouldn't let them wait. Kai nodded with a gentle smile. When they arrived at the top, they needed to go through a labyrinth. At the end of this labyrinth were two giant stone doors where Devane and Leah opened the door for him. Please wait here for a moment. Leah stopped Kai's companions before they entered together with Kai and closed the doors. Sophia and the others had no other choice than to wait, so they tried to discuss this matter. Meanwhile, in the room, Kai found an old man greeting him on one knee. I'm honored to see you well, my king. I'm Aston Mayan, the grand priest of this Emulda Kalan. The male was an old man with a long white beard. His figure was petite, but he was by no means malnourished. Next to him was a woman that seemed to be slightly older than Leah. Unlike the guy, she wore a slightly revealing outfit that showed her cleavage and a miniskirt. She lazily laid down on her side while using her right hand to support her head. Oh, the king has finally arrived. I'm Arva. Welcome. Oi. You need to. Aston raised from the ground and stretched his hand to Arva's head to force her to bow before Kai. But they soon heard a giggle from Kai. They were stunned and looked at him, finding him smiling gently. Nice to meet you. I'm Kai Carter. There's no one here that will judge you for your character, so I don't mind. Arba widened her eyes before slightly revealing her canine. She smirked. Interesting. Chapter 451, Roles Interesting. Arba widened her eyes and slowly rose from her position, straightening her posture and facing Kai politely. It's my honor to meet you, my king, Kai Carter. My name is Abba Eon. I would like to apologize for my actions. Kai smiled and nodded. Nice to meet you. From the start, Kai already knew that Abba intentionally antagonized him because she wanted to test two things. The first would be his temperament. How much anger could he contain? If his pride was hurt by something like that, she needed to reconsider teaching him the power befitting that of a protector. After all, the world might become a dangerous place to live if such a person actually held this much power. At the same time, he wanted to see how developed Kai's ears were. Although she intentionally did it, her tone and heartbeat didn't change at all, so it was hard for someone to pick it up. However, Kai seemed to be better than she thought. Kai could only find this flaw was due to the fact that these two talked in English instead of their common language this whole time. So, she politely greeted him and apologized. As much as I want to talk with all of you here, I believe we should finish our purposes first, since I can't really let the people outside wait for too long. That's what we would like to ask first, my king. Why would you bring an Oni to this place? The old man asked. He is just a husband wanting to see his wife's family while fulfilling his wife's wish. That's all. Kai shrugged. Olia Colonel? Aston narrowed his eyes and turned to Davian and Leah, who nodded their heads, confirming Kai's words. He then looked down while contemplating. I see. I can understand if that's the case. He can stay for a period of time, but I'm afraid he can't live here forever. I've met with the Oni protector, and from my point of view, I think you can let her stay there. I'm sure she won't be mistreated. Of course, her own family will decide that after discussions. Aston agreed without hesitation since it was the best option for them. I understand. Devane, can you handle this matter? Yes. Devane nodded and left the room, fulfilling the mission as soon as possible. As for the others, I am not sure what my king is planning to do. Kai contemplated for a moment and asked, what is the rule of this place? Does my king plan to keep their memory intact? Yes, I think you can understand my intention, especially with the fact that this place has actually followed the news all over the world with their technology. Kai smirked and looked at Aston with a serious expression. Indeed, Aston admitted that the best course of action would be allowing them to get some information from here. Unfortunately, they still needed to erase a portion of their memory. Still, I would like my king's permission to erase their memory. We can't allow them to know the location and a few other things. If it's about our culture and some information, I don't think we have a problem, but we can't afford to have many people aware of us. Even the fact that they have some sort of way to pinpoint our location is already too dangerous for us, and this will apply to your wife as well." Aston looked down in disappointment. He didn't want to do this, but the rules stated to protect the entire city. Kai let out a long sigh and said, "It can't be helped. However, make sure you don't touch anything else. And how do you know she is my wife?" "There are two ways. First, I've been following my king's news, so I know that you have some sort of relationship with Sophia Campbell. Second, I can use mind magic. It's easy to see your affection towards someone." "I see. It's quite terrifying magic, eh? I would like to apologize because I can't control what I can see." "Nah, it's fine. This also means that I don't even need to tell you about such a thing, and you will understand what you need to do." Seeing your composure, I believe you are not someone who will easily make a wrong choice. "Thank you very much." Aston lowered his head and continued, "In that case, I shall ask Leah to prepare the guest rooms and have them stay there first before explaining all the things they need to know." As soon as Kai nodded his head, Leah left the room and guided them to another place. At the very least, he could monitor them with his ears. With two S-rank magicians, they should be fine for the time being. "So, what are we going to discuss here?" Kai asked. "That depends on your wish." Arba finally joined the conversation with a nonchalant tone. She seemed to have gone back to her carefree state. Kai didn't mind such a thing, since it would make this meeting a bit more casual. But Aston simply couldn't let it go and glared at her. "Arba, why? Why are you so stiff, old man?" She shrugged. "Even if he doesn't tell me anything, why are you trying to find faults in me? You know about it yourself." Aston clenched his teeth, wanting to beat her up. Unfortunately for him, it was just a pipe dream, because Arba's magic was more suitable for fighting than his. In fact, he couldn't even hit her once if they fought against each other. "What did you say?" Arba narrowed her eyes, planning to beat this guy again. "Ah ha ha." Kai's chuckle suddenly stunned both of them as the two fell silent, staring at him. Kai was amazed that the two would stop with just a chuckle, and decided to give them an answer. "I want to learn other languages and get stronger. I'm afraid a certain protector will make a move sooner or later." Arba and Aston turned serious the moment Kai mentioned a protector. They had been following the news about Kai, so they knew which protector would make a move. They exchanged looks and nodded in agreement. Aston then asked, "It seems to be the case, but I wonder how long my king will stay in this place. Teaching you something will require a long time, so, well, I think I can stay for 3 months. After that, I need to return. In fact, I need to prolong my stay in the EU base for this, and due to this, I will be leaving my team in the US base for 6 months." Kai let out a long sigh as he couldn't really spend too much time. Aston took a minute to calculate everything and replied to him, "In that case, I will be teaching you the major languages. Instead of learning all the languages, I will be teaching you one major language every week. Since you say you have 3 months, it means I can teach you 13 to 14 major languages. The languages will consist of bird language, wolf language, and so on. I will give my king the details later. Of course, the first thing you will need to learn is none other than our Akkadian language. If you know this language, the others can be finished within a week, even with another training." Kai didn't know how impactful their languages were, but this was his first step to protect his family in the US base. Unlike the previous time, he didn't plan to run away again if a powerful enemy came to him. "I understand. I will leave it to you." Kai nodded. "In that case, I will be teaching you combat techniques." Arba smirked. "Well, after watching your news, I believe you are good enough already, so I don't need to fix your basics or anything. I will focus on a few things instead. How about it, Aston? You don't have a problem, right?" Aston clenched his teeth and looked away. Kai only smiled while watching their conversation. Even though they looked like they annoyed each other, they didn't seem to hate each other. Seeing there was no objection from Aston, she raised her hand along with 3 fingers, explaining, "Then, I will be teaching you 3 things. The first will be the way to increase the magic particles inside your body. Because you're the protector, you should have the natural affinity for this. Although you need time to get stronger, you should be able to one-hit an S-rank magical beast within 6 months. That I can guarantee. The second one will be magic, or the more popular term in this place, mystic. As you know, the way we're handling magic particles is different from what you know. Hence, I will teach you how to control the magic particles. I'm sure you can do something big with this technique, especially if you have enough magic particles in your body. Last but not least, I will be teaching you SX technique. Hold up. Chapter 452 talks Oi Arba. Aston raised his voice after getting infuriated by Arba this whole time. Why? Arba tilted her head in confusion. The purpose of the priestess is to conceive the king's child, so we will have a successor to rule over us in the future, right? Then, the role of the priest is to become the king's guard and brother. If the king is a male, if it's the queen, then the roles will be exchanged. I'm still a priestess, you know. Kai, on the contrary, heard something he didn't like as he furrowed his eyebrows. Oh? I seem to have heard something interesting. Look, he agrees with me. Arba pointed at Kai as if she just won. Only Aston, a master of mind magic, could understand that Kai was displeased by her statement and their roles. And if he remembered how popular Kai was with women and only chose to be faithful to a few significant others without having any scandal, it just made his anger even more understandable. Because of Arba's loose mouth, he needed to think of a way to appease his anger. Please don't listen to her. She is just joking. Aston tried to explain the situation, but Kai simply shook his head and gave his answer. I quit. I will search for another way. Arba widened her eyes in bewilderment as she found Aston facepalming while gnashing his teeth. She soon realized what this meant and quickly apologized. My king, listen to me. I was just joking. You couldn't take a joke like this? The joke and your tone are enough for me to conclude that it's real. Kai shook his head and rose from the ground. I will try to find another way to get stronger. Some protectors will surely give me a bit of pointer. Wait. Arba suddenly appeared next to Kai and held his foot. Wait a minute. Let me explain. We can abolish that rule right now. The king's words are absolute. That's right. As long as you say it, we don't need to go through with it. Kai looked down on her with a cold gaze, as if telling him, that's on the surface. I'm sure you're going to have her seduce me or something directly or indirectly. Arba's face turned pale as she realized her mistake. She didn't gather enough information about Kai because she thought Kai would be just like any other potential king candidates that didn't manage to survive until they reached here. That was her biggest miscalculation. And now, she needed to face the consequences while wondering how to solve the issue. My king, please wait a moment. I know that you're disappointed in this matter, so please let me explain it instead of her. Aston faced Kai with a grim expression. What? Are you going to trap me inside here and do everything to your bidding? Or are you planning to kill me if I don't comply? Kai snorted in a cold tone. Just try then. I have that kind of resolve before coming here. No. Aston shook his head with a long sigh. I know that my king has no intention of getting into a relationship with someone unknown. We won't implore it any longer, and it's my fault that Arba has said something like that, because I have never told her all the small, detailed information about you. I will take the blame for this. Even if my king wants me dead, I will commit suicide in front of you to appease your anger. Just please, hear me one more time. Kai closed his eyes for a few seconds, contemplating this matter. Unlike Arba, Aston was a serious type. He would surely do what he said to prove his point. Since he came here to get stronger, even if it displeased him, he needed to swallow the matter for the time being. He took a deep breath to calm his heart down and said, Okay, I will listen to what you have to say. Thank you. Aston nodded before signaling Arba to return to his position and shut her mouth. Knowing what she had done earlier, she looked down with a sad expression and stayed silent. There was another reason why Kai had this kind of outburst. Just like how Arba wanted to test him, he wanted to test their limit, and he managed to see their situation along with the importance of a protector to a certain race. He had so much advantage in this talk, so he should be able to keep the group that came with him alive. He walked a few steps forward and sat down right in front of Aston on the floor, looking at his face. Arba scratched the back of her head while complaining. It seems this one doesn't have a sense of humor. He looks serious all the time like the old man. If she muttered, Kai would hear it and quickly leave this place, but because it was only in her mind she was safe, or it was what should have happened. When she released that kind of thought, Aston couldn't help but feel it, and clapped his hand once before something flicked Arba's forehead, making her fall down on her back. So, I have two questions first. Kai raised two of his fingers. Please ask anything. I will answer it to the best of my ability. First, you're stronger than me, and I don't think you need me or anything, so why don't you just create another king? Aston gulped down as he never expected this kind of question came out of his mouth. He shook his head and replied, I'm sorry, but it's not possible. There are several reasons for this. First, the all-hearing ears are gifted to a unique individual. This is the very basic requirement to be acknowledged as a race protector. Then move on to the second reason. If we kill you or let you die after making contact like this, we will be condemned by all other races, especially the intelligent ones. For example, the Oni race that came with you will surely pass this information to his king before spreading it all around the world. At that time, we didn't have a face to protect anymore. I believe you also have made contact with several protectors. If such a thing happens under our watch, there's a high chance they will come at us and destroy us. The possibility becomes even higher if they're your friends. Third, there will be a huge uproar all around the world. Just like in the past, a coup d'etat will surely bring so many things inside that kingdom. The effect will be amplified when we take the whole race into the picture. There's a possibility that the human race will cease to exist. Kai listened to his reasons and nodded, understanding a bit of their reasoning. A protector was someone beyond reason, because their entire existence alone could wipe out a single race with ease if that particular race had no protector to defend them. Hence, his value in the eyes of these people was far higher than he first expected. He then asked his second question. Then, what will you do after I have finished my training here? We will abide by your wish. According to our rule, we're to send the priest and priestess with you to assist you in your endeavor. But the first rule states that our king's words are absolute, so no other rules can overrule your decision. Of course, please pay attention to your own words because people will question your ability as a ruler by watching your actions on a daily basis and your words. If the people see you as a douchebag that keeps playing with women and killing men, I'm sure there will be some kind of plot going on behind you. We will try to keep them under control, but we can't finish it all. However, your reaction earlier gave me enough answers that you will do just fine. That's my belief. Aston put on a gentle smile. Kai pondered for a moment before agreeing to their terms. I understand. As much as I hate to say it, I need power. Worlds scream, eh? At the very least, humans have gotten better in controlling pollution, so I think they're worth protecting for the time being. Aston didn't reply to him, and waited for him to finish gathering his thoughts. I will follow your advice and ask for your teaching when I'm here. I understand. I will do my best to turn you into a full-fledged protector. Before that, I would like to ask one important question. Sure, Aston was a bit hesitant, but he needed to know Kai's stand in this matter. Suppose I won't try to ask them to do anything other than their normal roles. In that case, would my king disagree with having them by your side? As long as you say you don't want to do something, they won't do that. Kai squinted his eyes and looked at Aston's eyes before making a decision. They have their roles. I will just be like an evil guy if I dismiss this type of dedication. However, I would like you to explain to me how they become the priest and priestess. I understand, although I want to explain it to my king right now. Night has already come. How about we go to your room first, so you can meet with the people you bring here and tell them what you're going to do for the next 3 months. After that, we can start your training while I'm explaining all these things one at a time. After a few considerations, he indeed needed to quell their unrest first before talking about this. He ultimately accepted his suggestion. I understand. Let's do that. Chapter 453, Condition. He was guided to his room by Aston and Arba together. Because he got a bit relaxed after getting the assurance from Aston and Arba, he finally looked at the details of this place. The stone seemed to be a polished limestone. It was so smooth to the point he thought the stone was polished by magic. He couldn't find a painting or something in the corridor, making it look pretty dull. Still, for a place like this, it was already amazing to see traditional-style buildings from the edge of this place to the center. If the people from the 3 bases knew there was a place like this, they might try to get information or even invade them. And if a terrorist organization learned it, they would seriously occupy it for their own benefits. This place would soon become a battlefield. Hence, he understood the reason why Arba and Aston wanted to hide it. At the right of the corridor, he found several doors and a grand one at the end. Behind the doors, he listened to several voices echoing in his ears. Sophia and the others seemed to be gathered in one particular room, getting an explanation from Leah. Since that was the case, Aston and Arva decided to lead him to the grand room at the end of the corridor. "This is your room." Aston opened the room carefully, showing him the interior. Right behind the doors was a vast green-colored carpet that seemed to be covering all the floor. Next to the door on his left was a drawer for important accessories. He could even put his bag down on top of the drawer. He thought there was a giant bed, but he realized the fact that this place was small and had many people living in it. Space obviously got narrowed down a bit. The room became a bit of a minimalist room, as his bed was still a double-sized one, but there was no space next to the bed other than the hanging lamps. Diagonal to his left was a pair of table and chair if he wanted to write something, while beside it was a closet. It would be good since he needed to stay here for a period of time. On his right was another door that seemed to be the bathroom. "I'm sorry for such a small room." Aston apologized to him, feeling ashamed. "Nah, it's fine. From the echo alone, I can sense that the other rooms are smaller." Kai shook his head. "Nevertheless, this room has it all, so I can't really complain. But I'm quite impressed by the fact that there is an air conditioner here." "Ahaha, not all electronics are bad. We're using that don't release pollution while making our lives a bit better here. As you can see, our resources are limited in this kind of space. Sooner or later, we need to start building multi-story buildings to prepare for the influx of population. At least, there's a birth control rule here and managed to keep our population a bit under 10,000 from 500 people for a few thousand years." Kai nodded with a serious expression. "Anyway, I am fine as long as I have a roof for 3 months." Aston nodded and extended his hand to the outside. "I think it's time to meet your friends." "Yeah, let's go." Kai followed him to one room. As expected, it was smaller than his room. All 5 of them stuck together in one place, with Leah giving them a little information to bring home. "How is it going, Leah?" Aston asked. "I have finished telling them about all the things they can bring to their home. Right now, the topic is about my king's identity. Actually, I have another solution. How about having a representative staying here when he is training in this place? The others can return to give the information. Of course, I need to recheck what kind of information you have to ensure that our location is not known by outsiders." Aston offered a better solution after knowing Kai's personality. Arnaud and Jules exchanged looks before staring at Kai with a complicated expression. They never thought Kai was someone that important. "What is exactly the information they can bring back?" Kai asked. Since Aston was busy talking to Leah, Arba decided to explain it to him. "There are 3 things. First, it's our place. We call it a mysterious organization that will back you up and our strength if you and your family are threatened. Second, it will be your identity. Of course, we're not telling them that you're the race's protector. What they will know after Aston's mind magic removing is that you're our leader and a very important one that can stop other species that will destroy this place. The third thing we share is the truth about magic particles, as well as the altar. You can say that there's an ancient weapon in a hidden place that it's impossible to find, despite searching for thousands of years. When humanity is about to annihilate a certain race or destroy the earth, that weapon will become another warning for them. We don't give them any method or whatsoever since the magic particles theory is enough for them. With their knowledge and science, I believe they can understand it and arrive at another conclusion than us. Also, we will be changing the place in their memory instead of removing it. We will just throw a random area on Earth to redirect their attention." Kai took a deep breath and closed his eyes, contemplating the 3 things. He nodded. "I see. Our mission is to search Iran and Iraq, so they will know if the memory is removed. It's better to misdirect them." While Kai had a chat with Arba, Arnaud and Jules seemed to have agreed on something. Jules then said, "I believe both of us will return to the base. First of all, with more influence than the 2 girls. So our words will be more trustworthy if we want to explain it to the Union. As much as I want to leave my daughter alone here as a representative, I don't know if she will feel lonely or not, so I will have another one beside her. At least, she can become her companion to wait for Kai Carter here. Last but not least, is to add a bit more strength for the return trip. I'm sure that you're going to do something amazing again, like controlling the magical beasts. But I just want to make sure." Hearing Jules' explanation, Aston came up with another idea and said, "All right, I will accept it. I will also allow the two girls to learn how to get stronger while they're here. However, the training method will be removed from their memory before returning from this place." That, I can agree. Arnaud nodded and tapped Jules's shoulder a few times. "In that case, please rest for the day. We will send you back tomorrow." Aston agreed and went outside. Arba then took Leah while reminding them once again, "There's no connection to this place, so it's impossible to send information you've gained. And I just would like you to know, the moment the information spread, you all are guilty. We won't spare any effort to destroy the entire base if necessary. After all, many ancient civilizations have learned it in the past." Arnaud closed his eyes, feeling troubled. He indeed learned the history of ancient civilizations. All of them stated the same. Despite having so many advanced technologies and knowledge, they disappeared without a trace. If all of them were related to this new information and these guys, they might indeed have enough power to flatten the Union. More importantly, Kai would be displeased by their actions. After knowing that Kai was actually a race protector, which would be removed tomorrow, they knew Kai had the ability to create a natural disaster. No, his existence alone was a walking natural disaster. Such an opponent was not what the Union could handle. As soon as the door was closed, Jules let out a long sigh and said, "Well, I came searching for copper, only to think I got silver. But it turned out, you are gold. What should I say? Sometimes my luck is, it is almost frightening." Arnaud twitched his eyebrows as he couldn't comprehend how this man could be this shameless. He then explained their decisions to Kai. "Anyway, we're going back, leaving Sophia and Rosalind here. Do you have a problem, Kai Carter? Or should I say, my king, or your majesty? It's just a symbol. No need to be that polite." Kai shook his head. "As for your decision, it's up to you." "Then, that's good." Arnaud nodded. "Do you have a message that you want to pass? Although it's impossible to send a message from here, I think it's possible if it's you. You can simply give the message to that old man and get his approval to show that you're fine in this place." Kai thought for a moment and agreed. "Well, I will write one later. Anyway, to think you are someone with this kind of power and mission, what should I say other than thank you and sorry?" Arnaud scratched the back of his head, feeling embarrassed. "I'm sorry to leave humanity's fate in your hands, even though you haven't grown up yet. And I also want to thank you for everything you've done. It turns out that the battles the US base have endured at this point because they want to eliminate our race along with you, who have the power to protect it. And if you're in the EU base instead of the US base, we would have suffered from their attacks too. For now, I will try to convince the Union to side with you and help you on any occasion, but that's only in the future. Thank you." Kai smiled. Chapter 454, Training Schedule. "Still a protector, huh?" Sophia let out a short sigh while looking at Kai. "I won't say that I'm not shaken with this truth, but I can honestly say I don't have any regret becoming your girlfriend. Since things have come to this point, we can talk about it tomorrow." "Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to hide it from you, but this status weighed so much. It would have been better for me to shoulder it alone." Sophia touched his forehead to stop him from talking while shaking her head. "Nah, that's not true. From my perspective, I can see that the reasons they are openly showing their information are due to them having full loyalty to this place and you. Hence, they have the right to retain the information. Unfortunately for me, I am still tied down with my Campbell family. That's why I don't have that right. Of course, I'm not saying that it will be soon, but eventually I will know about it all, whether it's from you or them. That's why they put me at ease by telling me all that information. Still, I believe Tasha and Michelle have known about it." Kai nodded while closing his eyes. "I have told Tasha and Michelle that I'm a protector. However, they haven't known anything other than what it meant to be a protector. Of course, I'm talking about race protectors, not the fake ones the US base are handling." "I see." Sophia nodded and replied, "Well, we have 3 more months in this place. I have hidden many secrets from you too, so I don't have the right to be angry with you for hiding something. But this is just my selfish wish. Don't disappear so suddenly without news, okay?" Kai nodded with a smile. "Yeah, I will do my best. What is this, Jules? I feel like my heart is being rejuvenated again. I feel like I need to get another wife." Arnaud covered his eyes, pretending to be crying as if he just watched a good drama. "Chill, dude. Jules shook his head helplessly, knowing everything was a joke. As much as he wanted to joke around, this problem was concerning his granddaughter. He wanted to take it seriously. Luckily, Kai and Sophia seemed to be handling the relationship maturely, not making an assumption or another and messing up the relationship. He wished the 3 months made the situation clear for them to continue their relationship. At the same time, he felt guilty for not being able to openly say, "You don't need to be tied down to the family," for various reasons. He failed to be her grandfather. After settling down her messy heart, she stepped back and looked at the others, wondering if they had any messages they wanted to give to Kai. "I don't have anything to say other than, please take care of my granddaughter. I can't say many things about it." Jules let out a long sigh before lowering his head until it almost touched the floor, remembering that Kai came from United Asia. "Please don't say it like that. Sophia is my girlfriend. It's my job to protect her." Kai shook his head. "I am not the best protector out there who can put their race above their family. So yeah, I wonder if it's still alright with me becoming a full-fledged one." Jules smiled, feeling assured. As he said earlier, Kai wouldn't be the best person out there to be a leader, but he was certainly a good head of a household. "Since most of the information will be wiped out tomorrow, I only need to remember 2 things. To give full support to my son and granddaughter for whatever they want to do in the future, without questioning the loss and family sustainability. Secondly, I need to tell them we have no need to worry about the union for no reason." "Boy, don't say it like that, especially in front of me." Arnaud couldn't help but cut in. "I need to know that I should have beaten up Jules Campbell in this place." Pfft. Jules stuck his tongue out, teasing Arnaud. "No need to say anything, you suck, Arnaud. Do you want to fight against me, Jules? You're the strongest, but your age keeps growing, and your ability gradually decreases because of your aging body. I feel like I have enough power to challenge you right now." You're still not enough, kiddo." Jules shrugged. Arnaud paused for a moment and shook his head. "Anyway, I only know that Rosalind is the new S-rank magician and proceed with the necessary procedure to level up her authority. This also means that she is independent enough to create a household. After all, no matter how bad the training in this place is, I can feel that even if there are 10 of me, I can't even defeat that woman. That's why I know our Rosalind will have the same strength as an S-rank magician and officially become my successor." "What do you think?" Arnaud glanced at Rosalind with a smirk. Rosalind was overwhelmed by everything, especially since she just tagged along. To think the mission became this important and would bring this much change to her life, she was baffled and happy at the same time. "Thank you very much." Rosalind then turned to Kai and thanked him again. Kai simply waved his hand, telling her it wasn't within his calculation, so she didn't need to thank him. After finishing their discussion, Kai raised his hand, opening the sound insulation magic he placed in this room to avoid the people outside from listening to them. He then said with a calm tone, "So, what is the current plan?" Aston pushed the door open with an apologetic smile as he said, "We will have dinner for now. It's already 7 p.m. after all. Arba is cooking right now to apologize for her earlier behavior. I hope my king doesn't mind." Kai nodded. "Well, I don't even think about it anymore." "That's great." Aston nodded and stretched his hand. "How about following me to the dining room? There will only be us, Arba, and the current priest and priestess." Kai nodded and decided to follow him. Since the leader had agreed, there was no reason for the others to avoid going there. They would have already died if the other party wanted to kill them after all, considering the gap between their power. The dinner was yet another great catch from Devane, since he started hunting after settling Shinkai's problem. He grabbed a giant bowl outside that seemed to be Arba's specialty. The food was nice, and the reception was welcoming after solving the misunderstanding between them. Aston seemed to be more open too, since Sophia and the others already knew pretty much anything they needed to know about Kai. Still, Sophia felt that Devane and Leah stared at Kai too much. Most of the time, she caught them staring at Kai with observant gazes. Kai for sure noticed them too, but he ignored them because it was the first time a protector reached this place after a few thousand years. It was no wonder they got so engrossed in it. Of course, Kai still kept the fact that the priest was to try to become his brother, while the priestess was to seduce him and bear his child in mind. If they were to know him with that thought in mind, he would create a certain boundary and avoid them. If they were not, he didn't mind becoming their friends. After all, they were the ones considering him a king, not himself. Kai only thought of himself as another person who happened to have a bigger responsibility. Arba then took their attention when she clapped her hands a few times, asking the people to stop talking. Aston was the first, followed by Leah and Devane. Kai quickly understood the meaning and fell silent, looking at Arba with a serious expression. Let me explain about the training first. Arba glanced at Sophia and Rosalind. Both of you are going to learn from Leah and Devane, since Aston and I need to give all our attention to him. Of course, we will try to spend our time, if we're free, guiding you a bit. Although I can't say you will reach the Oni's level, you should be able to hold against an S-rank beast for a period of time without losing. Well, to put it simply, if the two old men behind you are fighting together, you should be able to beat them, I guess. She tilted her head, not quite understanding the power difference. Do you have anything you don't like, or any preference in training style? Rosalind and Sophia's eyes intertwined as they seemed to agree on something. Both shook their heads at the same time, saying, "We're okay with anything as long as we can get stronger." I understand. Well, you have only 1 hour break to meet him every day. If you have no problem, you can extend it when taking a shower. Arba shrugged. Sophia obviously didn't care since they'd done it already, but Rosalind looked down, feeling embarrassed. That's all. The training will start tomorrow, after saying goodbye to the two old men. Arba paused for a moment and took out a piece of paper, handing it to Kai. This is your training schedule. Please look at it yourself. Kai nodded and found there were 4 important schedules other than a break for eating and shower. The first would be his magic training with Arba, where she would teach him how to wield magic properly. After the lunch break, he would be hammered with knowledge by Aston until dinner. After that, he would be practicing how to increase the concentration of magic particles in his body. Last but not least, 8 hours sleep. Need to maintain a healthy sleep schedule. Kai replied, I am fine with the schedule. Chapter 455, Atlantis and Epic of Gilgamesh. After resting for the day and sorting out their thoughts, Arnaud and Jules had their memories removed and altered a few things to make them logical. They also had their bodies and devices checked to avoid any form of information leaving this place. Kai didn't say anything the whole time, to the point they saw someone using their teleportation magic to confuse them and leave them near their base, so it would be safe for them. Since Kai assured them, Rosalind and Sophia knew they were going to be fine. They finished not long after, and the two girls were led by Devane and Leah to another place while Arba approached them. Yo! Arba waved her hand and came to him casually. Despite yesterday's problem, she seemed not to get bothered anymore. Kai simply shrugged and decided not to hold so much grudge to the point he was petty. After all, the problem wasn't that big of a deal. Follow me to the training field. There is something I want to say while we're walking there. Kai thought for a moment and nodded, following her on her side. What is it all about? I'm talking about the current enemy of yours. From my point of view, it seems the one bothering you is that guy. Arba sighed. You know him? Not really, but I feel like I have read enough records about him and his past deeds. Oh, who is he? He is a sea race protector, specifically a mermaid race protector. You must have heard many legends about mermaids, right? Such as mermaid tears, enchantresses, and how they killed people by pulling them into the sea. Yeah? Don't tell me. They're real stories? Yes. The mermaid race has so much grudge with our sides even until now. It happened a few thousand years ago, I guess. Arba sighed and recalled the records. I'm sure you've known about Atlantis, right? Atlantis? Kai widened his eyebrows and looked at her with mouth wide open, never expecting such a story would come out of her mouth. Atlantis? That Atlantis? Arba smiled and nodded with a serious expression. This was certainly something she needed to know when she received her training as a priestess. She started recounting the information. Yes. History portrayed it as a utopia, but it was simply because they were different from us. Their building structures, the location that was close to the sea, and their cultures were vastly different. We didn't know about it back then, but it turned out they were different because they were mermaids. According to the information we have, they came to the surface to seek destruction. Specifically, humanity's destruction. We didn't know the reason why they actually wanted to kill us, but no one could give a better explanation other than revenge or pride. Anyway, someone managed to cast a powerful illusion barrier that turned all the mermaids into humans, making them no different from us. Then, those people would begin to show their power as a utopia and people's dream, manipulating them from shadow. Also, they became a trading kingdom soon after and influenced the world's economy. Not satisfied with such an accomplishment, the Atlantis began to snoop around even more, until at one point, our race protector caught them red-handed. It turned out they had several reasons for creating Atlantis. First was to manipulate the world's economy, making humans go into an economic crisis. At the same time, if they hoarded all the items from them, no one would find them anymore because everything went to the sea for the so-called sea god blessing. In any case, the Atlantis became even wealthier and prospered until they were big enough to become like this. Second was to avoid direct confrontation with our current protector while building their plan to eliminate all humanity from this planet. Third was to get information from all over the world about the humans and everything, making them knowledgeable. Like a certain famous person said, if you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself but not the enemy, for every victory gained, you will also suffer a defeat. If you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle. Understanding and employing this saying, Atlantis indeed grew big enough to influence the world. That was until our protector decided to destroy them. Arbor let out a long sigh after explaining the story. Kai, on the contrary, was confused with the entire information. There were several big questions in his mind, but more importantly, there was one thing that needed to be asked. What's the timeline again? To answer that question, I think it's better to give you another question. Do you know the king of Uruk, King Gilgamesh, the one that is known to have possessed all treasures under heaven and a demigod? Wait a minute. I think there's an epic poem about Gilgamesh written in Akkadian. Don't tell me. Kai drew a gasp and looked at Arbor with a shocked expression. Yes. King Gilgamesh was a human race protector, a powerful one on top of that. People at that time called his power was delivered by heaven as he turned into a demigod. And Atlantis actually existed in that time period. Most of the history is not right, but some of them are indeed telling the truth, albeit the so-called magic particles hadn't been mentioned even once in it. That's why they can't be explained by science, since this magic particle can't be defined by science. I want to know more of what happened back then. It all started when they slew the so-called Bull of Heaven, that turned out to be Bull Race Protector and Humbaba, which turned out to be another protector. Later, there was a record of the past telling us that all four of them got played by the Mermaid Race Protector. After finding out Gilgamesh knew about their scheme, the Mermaid Race Protector used another manipulation technique to execute him. Unfortunately for them, the one that got sacrificed was his best friend. Knowing that humanity would be attacked by all the other races if he sought revenge without any proof to show his innocence to other protectors, he began his journey, which people knew about the Epic of Gilgamesh. However, the truth was him finding the clues of Atlantis' involvement in this event. Still, hard work sometimes went unrewarded. King Gilgamesh, who had reached the end of his journey, decided to make another turn to save humanity. He used the altar and his life to create the same apocalypse as we all experienced a few hundred years ago. However, due to him calling himself a journey to reach immortality, he spread the rumor he chose immortality and went to heaven. At the same time, the magic particles were increased on this planet, and people knew it as blessings as he intended. The sacrificial altar was made for other protectors to see what was going on. They began their investigations because Gilgamesh didn't have a reason to use that altar, and he would have lived for a long time. And the reason came to light not long after that. All protectors were enraged when they realized the Mermaid Race Protector had manipulated them to kill all four protectors in this mess. Getting attacked from left and right, Atlantis then submerged again, waiting for the time to pass to avoid their responsibility. Kai took a deep breath and shook his head helplessly, feeling like he just listened to an amazing story. He never thought that the story changed drastically when you threw Atlantis into the picture. Before dying, he created a small group of people, precisely 500 people, to seclude themselves to hold the truth. There will be someone who will reclaim the throne and end the long hatred against the mermaid race. Hence, we kept searching for proofs while maintaining all the information we had. We didn't have any contact for thousands of years to keep this secret. Because of the changing era, the group decided to have a pair of priest and priestess to keep the secret by making them like a village chief. Kai narrowed his eyes and said, "And they are you?" "Yes, we have three purposes. First, we're to serve the next king that will end this long grudge against the mermaid race. Second, we need to gather all the information we can, so other protectors don't make any more mistakes like they did in the past. Last but not least, we act as the keeper of the past, as well as a place for the new king to reclaim his throne. Of course, we don't have a throne. It's only a symbol." Kai let out a long sigh, processing all this information. He just never expected that everything came from the Epic of Gilgamesh and Atlantis. Contemplating for a minute, he said, "And I am supposed to take care of that role? We don't know. As much as we hope it to be that way, King Gilgamesh never gave any specific details. To this date, we've seen 3 human race protectors. Of course, only you came to this place," Arba explained. "As for whether it's your role or not, that is a question for you to answer. We don't wish to impose our beliefs on you. If needed, we will mobilize our elites to help you on the battlefield. But it's better to do it in the last battle because we don't want trouble from other protectors." Kai closed his eyes and let out a long sigh. "Well, I can't answer that now. Still, if I needed to choose my family or this race, I would have chosen my family." "We will respect your decision." She nodded, knowing that if there was no human race, his family also couldn't continue living in this world unless he became a certain someone who repopulated the earth. Chapter 456, Manipulation. They arrived in a barren garden with sand as the stepping ground. He looked around and found the place was surrounded by limestone and cement. The field was close to that of a football field, so they had plenty of room to practice. Considering Kai the race protector who needed to use it, he indeed required a place this big or his power wouldn't be able to be contained. They reached the middle of the field as Arba turned around, facing him with a serious expression. "And so I will be teaching you how to use your power." "Now that I think about it, I remember that the magic is called mystic in this place." Arba nodded. "Yes, I will explain the difference between magic and mystic. I have studied your so-called magic and realized that you need to force the magic particles out of your body before shooting magic with a certain sequence. Mostly, it's about your movement." "Yes." Kai nodded, confirming what she said was right. "And now, I'm going to explain what mystic is." Arba paused and raised her hand, summoning a green magic circle on her hand. She then released the magic to the air, creating one straight line. This is magic called wind bullet. It's literally shooting a bolt of wind in a particular direction. I assume you know about it, right? Kai agreed with her. Arba then continued, using the same magic. However, this time, the small ball formed by wind curved and went straight to the ground, kicking up the dust. This is the mystic version. Do you understand? I can understand the difference, but I don't think you've done anything. Kai narrowed his eyes. No, you must have done something, but I don't know how you twist the trajectory. That? Arba pointed at Kai with a smile. Trajectory? This is the difference between magic and mystic. Magic allows you to shoot something, but mystic gives you the ability to direct it according to what you want. Direction. Kai frowned and contemplated. To put it simply, we're determining the direction of the vector where our magic will go. This is called mystic. It requires practice to do something like this, of course. And I'm going to explain it to you right now. However, I would like to ask you to attack me once. I believe you have sound magic, right? Yes. Kai nodded and asked, What kind of attack do you want? Whatever you like. Kai fell into deep thought and raised his left hand to create a sound insulation magic to prevent the sound from going out. After that, he raised his other hand and snapped his fingers. Clack. Ding. The moment the snapping sound echoed, a magic circle appeared and released a high-pitched noise that would disturb anyone around them. Lullaby. The sound wave flew in all directions, including her. However, Arba simply raised her hand and created a small wind barrier that eventually covered her own body. After that, she continued to expand it and created a small dome to protect many people inside. Surprisingly, when she enveloped him, he couldn't hear a single sound, as if everything just disappeared. Even Kai was shocked. This. Kai looked around, observing the wind barrier. I'm using my wind power to create a barrier that reflects any sound from coming in. After watching the video when you killed an S-rank mole, I realized that you have mastered releasing your magic and changing its characteristics. For example, you can change the frequency to something that no one can hit while the shock wave remains. If you can direct the shock wave, I think you will be able to do something even more amazing. For example, how about you hit me with your sword that causes a sonic boom, isn't it? Kai frowned and asked, "Are you sure?" He was worried that Arba couldn't do anything to it, considering it was his most powerful technique. Arba simply nodded her head and said, "Although I don't say it, even if there are 10 of you attacking me together, you won't be able to defeat me. I'm strong. That's a fact, so please no need to worry about my well-being." Kai contemplated for a moment and took out his sword. He used his supersonic sword and raised his hand. He planned to stop right after it hit her, but Arba raised her finger and created a small magic circle. The magic circle dispersed the sonic boom immediately and suppressed the sword, preventing it from vibrating. This was his first time finding something that could stop his sword other than a hard surface. "This canceling? No. It's like, yes. I'm just directing your sonic boom to somewhere else with my wind while circling your sword to prevent it from vibrating. Well, I can only slow it down since the vibration is so strong to be handled like this." Kai took a deep breath, understanding that power. He thought for a moment and sighed. "To think my power can be neutralized that way. I believe you won't have any problem next time if you have mastered this power. Hence, I suggest you learn this intensively, but since language is also important, it's better to do it this way." "Well, I guess that's good." Kai nodded. "I feel like I can do many things about it." In Kai's mind, the scene where he owned the bull flashed, reminding him that he could do so many things as long as he used it in the right place and right direction. "Do you wish to try fighting me?" Kai narrowed his eyes and nodded. "I am curious." "Sure. My ability itself isn't that great since the density of magic particles in my body is around S-rank magical beast level. However, this also means I can demonstrate the power of vectors to you." Arba took a few steps back and said, "No need to worry about me. I will handle everything you throw at me. Make me fall once, you win." Kai raised both of his swords while taking one step forward. This was his stance to charge forward, but he then saw Arba's stance that made him hesitate. She didn't even raise a single stance, but that alone made him uncomfortable, as if she was trying to do something big. It was then he realized something different from her. This was not a killing intent or something, but purer. He took a deep breath and said, "Magic power." "Exactly." Arba smiled. "This is an intimidation technique. By spreading your magic power around you, the enemy will sense something that makes them uncomfortable. The purpose is like killing intent. In fact, you can combine it with this technique, raising the intensity even further. In short, by learning how to control your magic particles' direction, you can direct your magic and anything else that comes together with it. That's why its first name was Magic Manipulation before it was renamed Mystic." Arba then raised both hands and had both palms facing Kai. Her right foot was in the front, slightly bending down to lower her center of gravity. "Let's go. I will only use a bit of my power and won't make something big out of it." Kai narrowed his eyes and took a deep breath to fight this weird feeling. The sonic boom appeared again on his swords as he used his supersonic sword magic. While he prepared himself, Arba seemed to have no intention of moving and remained in her position without opening her mouth. However, there was still a trace of gentle expression on her face, as if this fight was just child play. Since she was so confident, Kai summoned a sound blast on the ground as he leaped with his fastest speed while leaning his body to the right, sending a kick to her side. Arba lowered her right hand and grabbed the kick. Surprisingly, the momentum didn't push him back, forcing Kai's body to go around her body only to find a small magic circle on her back. Then, Kai's vision fell to her feet, finding 2 more magic circles. In other words, Arba controlled her power well enough to block that kind of momentum without even being serious. The magic circle on her back was formed to kill his momentum and stopped her from falling. Meanwhile, the 2 on her feet would prevent her from getting blown away and somehow tripped. In addition, she leaned slightly forward to make the catch even easier for her. "Seriously?" Kai made a weird smile before feeling the grip on his foot was tightened. "Oh no." Right after that grip, Arba took another step forward and spun her body, making Kai spin with her in the center. Kai gritted his teeth and endured the headache due to the spinning, while creating a magic circle to bail him out. Noticing this kind of movement, Arbor then let his ankle go. The centrifugal force launched Kai to the ground and rolled a few times until the momentum ended. Chapter 457. Give up. KH Chai narrowed his eyes, looking at Arbor with a serious expression. Just one set of attack patterns made me like this. Arbor simply smiled and said, "This is just a start. Would you like to stop now?" Kai gritted his teeth and rose from the ground. "Let's go for the second round. I'm not done yet, and I'm planning to defeat you." "That's good. I hope you can defeat me soon." "Still, I just realized this. After feeling your magic earlier, you seem to have so few magic particles in your body." Kai frowned and shook his head. "I see. It seems you were born with the magic power, but there was something that made you lose it. Is to protect someone I love." "Fair trade." Kai shook his head before making a serious expression, as if telling her that not a single insult could she utter to that person. Of course, how could he accept if Tasha was getting berated in front of him? "Don't worry, I won't repeat the same mistake twice. I won't say anything ridiculous since it's your choice." Arbor waved her hand, telling him that he didn't need to worry. Kai nodded and raised his swords. "Then, I'm going again." "Come." Kai then launched himself with the sound blast again, spun his body, and sent a round kick from above. When she was about to block it, she saw a magic circle appear. The magic circle created a vibration for the shoe, strong enough to cause a sonic boom. It boosted the power behind Kai's kick, and surprisingly, Arbor needed to summon 4 magic circles, one each on the right elbow and the left one, another below her butt to push her up to the air, while the other one supported her entire posture on her back. A crack appeared on the ground before the power released its true might, turning the crack into a 5 meters wide crater. However, Kai understood that the one who made the crater was not him. It was Arbor. Right before the hit connected, Arbor realized the power behind his kick and raised her own foot. Using the power from his kick, as well as her own power, she created a small crater on the ground, leaning below the surface, making his kick miss its target. "That's a good kick, to be honest. If your swords are your sharpest ones, then your shoes are the strongest." Arbor complimented Kai with a smile. She knew that it was something amazing to even use something like that, because Kai had yet to understand how to manipulate the flow of energy. She took a deep breath and said, "I can see why you're among the strongest. In any case, I have realized that you seem to have no knowledge about what's happening around you. May I know the extent of your knowledge?" "Nothing. I don't have any information. Please treat me as such." Kai slightly lowered his head and looked at this woman. Arbor seemed to be understanding and said, "Anyway, I don't have a plan to go all out because I'm afraid of destroying this place. I can't say anything about my power, but it's quite good, you know." "Yeah, I know." Kai nodded before using Arbor's hands to launch him back to the air. When he was about to get counterattacked, Kai managed to escape by launching himself into the sky again. While hovering in the air, he thought for a moment about how to defeat Arbor, considering both of his strongest magic just got deflected that easily. After contemplating for a while, he landed on the ground and closed his eyes, raising his hands. "Let's stop." Even Arbor widened her eyes, never expecting Kai to actually give up just like this, even though he wanted to defeat her. "Seriously?" Arbor blinked her eyes a few times. "Yes, I know your power. I hate to say it, but I don't have the slightest chance to win against you. I have never expected you to give up this easily, especially since you're the protector." She scratched the back of her head, wondering if she thought Kai that highly. "Why would I waste my time to do something that is not possible? And it does not require me to fight to the death, so rather than wasting my time here, I would like to start my training instead." Kai shook his head. "Well, you're not wrong, though I still wish you would fight a bit longer." "Nope." Kai waved his hand a few times, telling her the answer remained the same. Of course, fighting would be a way to gain experience, but from the 2 exchanges, he concluded a few things. First of all, there's something I am severely lacking. I've realized my poor choice of magic, especially about my current magic set. First of all, I don't have a glove to do the same as my feet, making you able to focus on my shoes alone. Although it's true that I'm holding a sword, it can be another weapon that can be utilized properly. That's why I would like to learn this method as soon as possible, so I don't need the boots and gloves at the same time while releasing the same power. Second, this directional attack thing is really good. When I fought you, I kept preparing myself for your attack. For example, your wind attack that could be programmed to loop around me and hit me in the back is extremely dangerous in my opinion, so it takes a lot of my focus just to make sure nothing goes around me. After all, if you start employing tactics in your movement, it's going to be even more troublesome. Last but not least, I haven't asked you this yet. What is your strength compared to any other human in this world? Arba smirked and answered his question without hesitation. The very best. No one will be able to defeat me, even if all the top fighters in this world join hands. Of course, you're going to be stronger than me in the near future. Kai narrowed his eyes and asked, how was your strength compared to our enemy? She thought for a moment and said, I will take the mermaid princess as an example. 10 of her will be able to defeat me. But I've heard you won against the turtle, right? Yes. Kai nodded. Actually, no. Arba shook her head. The turtle hasn't used all of his strength. There is also another one, serving directly to the king, and he is the true strongest aide. My strength is exactly at his level. We're meant to be the strongest helper of the protector, even though our strength will be much lower when the protector reaches the peak. I see, but you don't have any intention of leaving this place, no? Well, if my king can take me as your concubine, I will be more than happy to leave. Arba smiled, only to get another cold glare from Kai. She stuck her tongue out and said, well, the earlier statement is not a lie. Anyway, what I'm saying is, I will leave. But it's only at the last battle. We can't afford to have our real identity discovered yet, because they will do everything they can to erase us, meaning erasing the evidence. Kai closed his eyes and understood the importance of their lives. He nodded in agreement. I understand that. Don't worry. Although it hurts to see my girlfriend get her memory erased, I still need to see the bigger picture in this current situation. That's why this is something that we can't change even if we need to confront you. She shook her head in disappointment. Anyway, let's talk about it. Yeah? Please teach me how to get stronger, oh strongest human. Kai smirked. Arba smiled. Thank you. All right. Now that we're discussing this, I will be telling you about the real way to control your magic power. It's Chapter 458. Reactions. Meanwhile, in the Union base, Arnaud and Jules just woke up from their hallucination. Whoa? Jules shouted out loud while looking around to see if they were safe or not. What the heck happened? Arnaud narrowed his eyes and shook his head. I don't know. There is a huge gap within my memory. I only know a few things like that person said, and it seems we have agreed to leave that place. Yeah, returning here from Pakistan. Jules frowned and contemplated for a few seconds. I guess we have our mission. Let's return, shall we? Agreed. Arnaud nodded with a small smile. We will talk on the way. Sure. Jules and Arnaud then began picking up their pace while having small talk. So, what are the things you know? I only know that we visited somewhere in Pakistan and learned there is a huge, mysterious organization that has survived for so long there. Their strength is far above the 3 bases, so it's not wise to challenge them. From what I know, they can kill a single S-rank magical beast in one-on-one. That's why it's better not to challenge them in the future. I don't know if the Union will swallow it easily, but we have served our purpose. I personally have no intention of going to war, because there's something inside me telling me to avoid any confrontation with them. Hence, I will trust this one. Kai Carter seems to be a special person in their organization. Although Kai himself doesn't know about it, he is regarded that highly for different reasons. It's better to create a mutual relationship with him instead of forcing him to do something. That's why I asked Sophia to stand by there. Last but not least, the magic power that we have thought this whole time is actually a magic particle. They have a physique, but smaller than an atom. That's why it's hard to find them. It's impossible to recreate it with science, or that's what I know according to the information. Arnaud explained everything to him before asking, do you have any other information? No, my knowledge is the same as yours. Jules shook his head and sighed. It seems the one that is protecting Kai Carter is bigger than I thought. Well, he will be my grandson-in-law, so it's fine. Oi, oi. Are you planning to destroy the Union? Nope. Jules shrugged and continued. I simply have no intention of using my granddaughter anymore after knowing this. First of all, The fact of magic particles alone is already enough for us. This will make our research become even faster, especially regarding the exoskeleton. There is a chance that we will be able to create a sustainable exoskeleton, or the more extreme case, we will create an unmanned robot that is powered by magic particles. Arnaud nodded in agreement. Indeed, that's a huge boost in development, but I believe Kai will inform the US base as well. We only have the advantage because of our current research. Still, I'm worried about the fact that their lives will be in danger. Jules let out a long sigh. First of all, if we tell this to the Union, there is a chance it will leak to a terrorist organization. Although they are condemned and in small groups, they are still like a tumor. Indeed, they are still thinking about wiping out humanity when we're on the brink of extinction. But I now have a different perspective regarding them. Arnaud narrowed his eyes and released his killing intent. They will try to kidnap them, right? Yes. First of all, I have a plan to save my daughter. As long as she is with him, she won't be harmed. After all, Kai can listen to almost everything around him. Kai himself won't be a problem since the only way to kidnap him is to send a person that can kill an S-rank magical beast, which is impossible to find. The only problem will be your agent, Rosalind. Ah! Arnaud gritted his teeth, knowing it was true. You're planning to send your granddaughter to the US base again. She will live together with him sooner or later, so I guess it's fine. Maybe I should ask her to stay in Kai's house after the 3 months training and 3 months school period, Jules thought, as if he just got a brilliant idea. Oi, I'm not going to process the paperwork for you. What paperwork? I only know that my granddaughter is in love with someone and chases him to the US base. That's all. Jules shrugged. If it were this way, it would make the entire situation easier to swallow. However, Arnaud knew the importance of this matter. When he was about to reply, Jules stopped him and glared at him, asking his opinion about Rosalind's safety. According to the information, Rosalind should have the ability to fight against an S-rank magical beast after 3 months, so I don't think I will need to worry about her that much. Still, I will send some agents to protect her in secret. Arnaud sighed. Indeed. Well, we can wipe them out with that ability too. Jules frowned and felt this was a good idea. Maybe we can purposely leak the information to them to destroy them. Rosalind will be strong enough to protect herself. The only problem will be drugs. Yes. We need to plan it carefully. If it's too much, we will cancel the project. After all, Rosalind might become stronger than you after this training. Arnaud grinned. Haha, I will be waiting for it. I feel like getting stronger again today. But Jules laughed. Well, it's time for the youngsters to surpass us. Us? No, it's you. I'm still young. Arnaud shrugged. I'm 1 generation below you. Whatever. Jules didn't care since he had both Kai and Sophia. The Union wouldn't be able to receive their wrath if they planned to do something funny to his Campbell family after all. There was no point in worrying. That's right. Now I'm afraid the terrorist organizations will start moving to the US base too. Kai still has a weakness, which is his squad. I don't think we need to worry about an S-rank magician like Michelle Graham and Tasha Carter, but there are Kudo Ayaka and Evan Young. Kudo Ayaka's fighting prowess is quite high, and she is moving together with Michelle Carter most of the time. The problem will be Evan Young. He is often going with Isabel Fisher and her group. If it continues, I'm afraid there is a chance they will attack them to lure him out. Jules's expression turned cold as he nodded in agreement. In that case, we will have to notify the US base to start protecting them in secret. Kai Carter's family is also a target of priority. All I know is that if Kai Carter is disappointed in humanity, we will go extinct. Agreed. Well, we also have a message to his group, so I think it's better to send it together with this warning. Jules pondered the matter and continued. For now, I will contact my family to start closing the gate to avoid any spies in my family. After that, I will begin moving around my elites accordingly. I will buy time as long as possible by making the report. The best I can give you, probably 7 days. I want you to send a private message to the US base too, informing them about Kai's matter. We have a written statement from him about his condition too, so it's not that big of a deal. Don't worry, leave it to me. Jules nodded. After that, the two continued talking about the problem and headed back to the base. 2 days later, Michelle sat down on the couch with a serious expression, looking at Evan and Ayaka. I don't think we will have a good time after this. considering Kai will stay for 3 more months than expected. What do you think about it? What can we do? I have been informed to avoid going alone too, because Captain faces a quite big problem. Evan shrugged. Well, I don't have a problem. Maybe we can stay together? Ayaka asked Michelle. Fair enough. Maybe I can ask Kai's parents about us staying over until Kai returns. If we explain the situation, they will agree. Kai will probably agree since it's just a matter of time. We can protect them during the night too, while the other secret agents protect them during the day. Michelle nodded in agreement. I'm not going to stay together, okay? Evan raised his hand and rejected the decision. I will just stay together with Isabel. I think both of us are targeted, so it's easier for us to protect each other. Michelle agreed and said, Yeah, you can do that. I will inform Tasha about this matter. Sure, I hope she doesn't mind. Ayaka smiled. Of course, we will be together for a long time, so it's best to do it this early. Although Tasha dislikes the idea, it has been diminished, so she will agree without hesitation. The two nodded with a serious expression. Meanwhile, Tasha, in the base near Alaska, sat down and watched the scenery while feeling the chilling breeze to cool her down. I see. I think I need to step up my game. She smiled before sensing someone behind her. You are in trouble, girl? A middle-aged woman came to her with a smile. I have returned to the battlefield due to your request, so I will be teaching you to the best of my ability. No. Kai is going to soar even higher. I can't afford to stay like this, Mum. You don't need to be polite when we're alone. This is only a temporary position, so let's just enjoy our time. Tasha smiled and turned around, looking at her. Yes, Professor. Chapter 459. Progress after getting the explanation from Arba. Kai proceeded with his training. Of course, Arba's training came first. He tried to do everything possible according to Arba's instruction. He wanted to finish it as soon as possible, but to no avail. When he tried to control his magic, he ended up either letting it go like usual or exploding. Obviously, Arba didn't have any confidence in Kai succeeding in one day. Her prediction was around 30 days for the minimum control. After Arba's training during the day, Kai needed to face another hellish training that drained his mental energy. He had experienced it during his stay in the Oni village, and his impression remained the same. Mind magic indeed exhausted him even more than physical training. Kai, of course, didn't complain and accepted all the teaching. The knowledge completely destroyed his perception of the world. It turned out that the world was more complicated than he thought. Before the apocalypse, humanity had more than 200 countries. But, in the past, there were around the same number of species. Of course, it was just in a larger category. For example, birds would be a big country and have one language. But if one traveled a bit more into them, they would realize they had many traditional languages such as eagle language, pelican language, and so on. What Aston taught him was the big language so he could understand and talk to them. Although it also meant he understood their speech from far away, he could command them. At the same time, he realized that this would change the perception of the magical beasts. Just like him, the magical beasts wanted to survive. When he killed them, he kept hearing them letting out a sound, and by learning their language, he would realize that they didn't want to die, as if begging for his forgiveness. The pain, despair, and struggle would gradually influence his mind. Aston even specifically warned him because he didn't want Kai to go crazy. Surprisingly, Kai's answer remained simple. He told him that he was a crazy bastard because normal people wouldn't be able to take on all the noises they kept ringing in his head. He could also block their voices with sound insulation magic in his ears, preventing their voices from coming to his ears. After several considerations, Aston decided to trust him and taught him all the things to the best of his ability. The 2 training sessions had finished, and he still needed to do one last thing. It was to increase the number of magic particles he could absorb inside his body. Kai learned the method and showed improvement immediately. Even Kai himself was surprised by the result. Within 3 months, he felt like he would have gotten the same amount as his full power. This way, he didn't need the only thing that shared the magic power inside Tasha and let her have the magic power permanently. Rosalind and Sophia also started their training. Although he didn't know what kind of training they endured, he knew they didn't complain and kept doing what Leah and Devane wanted them to do. To his surprise, Kai often saw Leah and Devane coming over to help him with his chores and other things while trying to talk to him politely. This continued for a few days, until Kai suddenly controlled his magic power to bend a little. Arba dropped her jaw and told him it was impossible, showing him the evidence. However, Kai had done so many self-studies in his life, so training this new type wasn't that big of a deal for him. That was the reason he could keep up this fast. Understanding that sound magic was rather scarce in the world, Arba ended up accepting the explanation, while thinking of him as a protector also played a role in his talent. He also managed to understand a language within 1 week, which was comprehensible. Kai always checked Sophia and Rosalind during break time, asking if they were okay. Since it was the only time they spent together, Sophia showed him her improvement day by day as a way to tell him that she enjoyed the training since he could get stronger. Rosalind was slightly shy about it, but she also showed him her progress while expressing her gratitude for Kai. The prospect she would receive in the near future would be far bigger than she expected, to the point she might become one of the respected figures, and it only came within one mission. Kai truly changed her life, and she would eternally be grateful for what he had done. The pay for the extortion he pressed on her far exceeded the mental stress she got at that time. Kai only brushed it off, saying it was the result of her choice. She even asked Kai whether he wanted to increase the number of his harem, to which he rejected the idea because he already had too many. Of course, a portion of it reached Arba's ears, and she kept nagging him to take her. Kai simply ignored her and went with his own training. It was no different than when Sophia first joined their group, so he had grown accustomed to it. He enjoyed the little time he spent with Leah and Devane more. After all, he wanted to understand what they felt and their vision about this place, not from Arba, who understood it all, but from someone close to his age. To his surprise, he found Devane was only 19 years old, while Leah was 18 years old, and he became a bit down when these young people were more powerful than him. Leah and Devane didn't reject him for 2 reasons. Unlike his indifferent attitude back in United Asia, Kai had become a bit more talkative, so the conversation kept going. He even told them what it felt like to live outside this place. They kept exchanging their views on different matters, creating a small bond of friendship between them. Seeing this progress, Aston simply smiled and didn't intrude in their personal space. He even went all the way to Arba, asking her to tone down her attitude, to which she reluctantly agreed. The days continued just like that. He continued his training while thinking about everyone he left behind in the US base. Kai didn't know about their situation, especially how Michelle and Ayaka got accepted to stay together with his parents. His family was very open with it and treated them like their daughters already. Kai himself took quite a long time with them, so his parents just thought of them as their daughters-in-law, even without marriage, saying it was their feeling, not the legal thing. Meanwhile, they kept getting updated by Evan and Isabel's situation. Due to them living together, the 2 families seemed to get even closer. Even the couple had already thought about their marriage. The 2 agreed that they would marry each other after graduation with only their close relatives as well as their groups. When they knew about it, Ayaka and Michelle kept pressing Evan for an answer and asked him about the wedding and so on until they were satisfied. No wonder they were that hungry. Kai asked them to wait for such a long time, even though most of the students had married during their school days. Even Tommy finalized the deed with the former student council president. Due to him winning against the 4 top groups, Laura became more open to Tommy, telling him the reason why she was that strict when it came to him. Tommy realized he had misunderstood her the whole time. After that, their relationship grew closer, and they decided to marry 2 months later. Unfortunately, Kai couldn't attend them, but what made the 2 groups surprised was the bomb dropped by Eva, Eve, and Nicholas. The twins didn't want to get separated and decided to take Nicholas's advance. They never even realized the 3 had progressed that way. The group obviously sent their congratulations and blessing since their bonds had been finalized. Although they didn't know about their marriage, they were already engaged. Michelle and Ayaka were slightly jealous, but they didn't say anything because they believed in Kai. Tasha was also informed about this and sent her congratulations only. She had the precious 6 months of training with Rhea Ross as her mentor, so she couldn't waste it. The others could understand it and respected her decision. Rhea only told Evan that there would be a pregnancy medicine ready when they indeed married after graduation. Evan and Isabel thanked her, even though both didn't have the intention of having a kid first, because Evan and Isabel might need to go to the battlefield to help Kai. They simply wanted to thank Kai for everything he had done for them. Only Shirotsuka Sanae, who was sulking the entire time, was wondering when she would get a husband too, and saying something like, "I am 8 years older than you guys, but I haven't even found a single person." Or, "It's not like I'm jealous about your relationship. I'm going to choose the best husband for me." They consoled her while teasing her, of course. Even Yuki, her best friend, came from time to time to check on them. Still, like how Kai worked to the bone to get stronger, Michelle and the others kept practicing their skills so they didn't get thrown away by Kai's prowess. Finally, 3 months had passed. Kai smiled and looked at the window from his small room and got ready to leave. After packing up his stuff, he opened the door, finding Arba, Aston, Devane, and Leah in front of his room. They lowered their heads politely as Aston said, "Congratulations for completing your training, my king." Chapter 460, Altar. "Thank you." Kai smiled at them, knowing they'd been waiting for quite some time. He asked, "I have done everything I can in this place, and I think it's time for me to leave. Let me check a little bit. I've understood 13 languages, including your language. Meanwhile, I've entirely removed the restriction that keeps a portion of my magic power inside my body, so my sister can have that power permanently. Of course, my current magic power is higher than the original one that I've gotten since the moment I was born. If it's necessary, I can ask my sister to return that power anyway, so it's not a big deal. Then, I think I can release my sound wave to one particular direction. Although it's not going to bend around, curve, or even create a loop, it's already enough for my current state. I'm planning to wreak havoc in this world a bit to test my power and keep getting stronger. I know the limitation, so no need to worry." He paused for a moment and asked, "How are the two girls doing?" Replying to my king, "If both of them work together, I believe they can take down an S-rank magical beast, like the mole you fought together without sustaining any injury." Aston summarized their improvement in an instant. "That's great. It should be enough for the payment." Kai nodded before thinking about his other girls. "I'm wondering if I can still give a bit of pointer to a few others. That depends on who they are." Aston felt a bit troubled but replied nonetheless, "They are my girls. I'm not doing it for my family and the others. Only my wives will accompany me for a long time, so—" Kai sighed. Aston contemplated for a moment and replied, "I think you can do it, as long as there is supervision from our mind magic user that can remove the information swiftly. We can try to put our trust in them not to give any information to the world, but we still need this kind of supervision." Kai closed his eyes for a moment and sighed. "That's fine. It's better to have them stronger to avoid any direct confrontations such as favoritism or something. Although they won't say it directly, I feel like the feeling will appear in their hearts intentionally or unintentionally. That's why I want to do this." Aston understood the situation and offered a solution. "We can understand. How about letting Leah and Devane return together with you? Leah has mind magic, while Aston is a space magic user. We have sneaked in the US base and created our own identity, so they will be registered as such. Of course, it will be suspicious if they just appear out of nowhere, so we can put another identity to them as your parents' bodyguards. Aston can help Leah to go around the base to teach them from time to time." Kai was thankful for their generosity and nodded. "Yeah, I think that's fine. But I won't force Leah and Devane to accept this request." Leah smiled and politely nodded her head. "It's my pleasure." Devane also agreed without hesitation. They considered Kai as their king, their friend, and the one they respected so much on a personal level. Even if their king was required to sacrifice them, they would offer their lives without hesitation. "Thank you. Well, it will be 3 months later, so you don't need to worry about it. Besides, I'm planning to take on a long mission as soon as we reach home, so we can train during the mission where no one can supervise us," Kai explained. The two nodded, understanding his situation. They had 3 months to prepare, so they might get another training session with Aston and Arba after this, but they didn't really mind. After agreeing to Kai's request, Aston then continued his matter. "Before leaving this place, I would like to show you one more place that you need to know. Please follow me." Aston turned around as the other three followed him without hesitation. Kai narrowed his eyes as he didn't know what kind of thing he wanted to show him, but he decided to walk behind them. They went through another labyrinth before they found staircases leading to the underground. This was the first time he reached this place, so he was quite curious about what kind of thing was hidden in this place. The place was pitch black, as there was no lightning. But Aston kept walking forward as if the darkness didn't bother him. After 10 steps, he took 1 step to the right and placed his hand on the hidden switch, turning all the light inside the room on. Kai squinted his eyes to adjust with the lightning and looked up, finding a long electric lamp. It kept going until they needed to turn left a few meters in the front, leading to a certain place. He then lowered his vision and looked at the wall. The size of this passage was around 3 meters wide and 4 meters tall, making it quite spacious. There was no pattern on the white polished limestone, so he couldn't know what kind of place this passage led him to. After getting enough light, Aston continued walking and turned to the left. It was when Kai found another spacious room underground that led him to other staircases going downward. Kai narrowed his eyes and asked, "What is this place?" Arba slowed down and smiled at him. "I'm sure you will be surprised to see it." Kai tilted his head in confusion until he reached the room. It was vast to the point he thought there was a smaller version of this gigantic building he was in. The bottom of the room was more than 10 meters below him, as he found quite long staircases waiting for him. Right after the staircases, there was a red carpet that led him to a 1-meter stone pillar. What took his attention was not the pillar, but the translucent gem floating above it. The jewel was crystal clear to the point he could see through it without focusing his eyes. Below the pillar was a magic circle that had been embedded for a long time. It looked to be inactive, but Kai quickly recognized what this place was. That floating gem, white pillar, and magic circle it's like what I'm thinking, right? Kai scratched the back of his head, feeling the situation would end up getting complicated soon. Yes, they are the human race's altar, the altar that has been hidden for thousands of years. The white pillar is the altar's body, while the magic circle is the fuel. The floating gem is a kind of crown that allows you to activate the altar. There are 2 main functions. First, the altar can be used as a catalyst to bring catastrophe to the world. Second, the king can actually use the magic particles in the air for your own personal use. That's how a protector becomes a walking disaster. Even with all of your power, you won't have enough magic power to use to create multiple natural disasters after all. Sure, if you keep going at this rate, you can summon 1 disaster after 50 years, but it's kind of the limit of the protector, so yeah, unless you have the crown, I don't think you can defeat another protector. Arba sighed, knowing that explaining things and making him believe the explanations were 2 different things. That was why she added another thing. We don't plan on giving you that crown because I believe your concept of altar is only related to the first one. That's why you can fight against others first and learn more about your power as a protector before making your decision. If you choose to get this crystal, we will always be waiting for you. I believe that's also when we'll be making our move to help you. Arba glanced at Aston, telling him that both of them might only move when Kai actually became a genuine king. Kai contemplated for a moment. Although he understood where they were going, he still couldn't trust them 100%. If it came to this, he probably needed to visit Ishi to ask about it. He also remembered the pink dolphin and the sloth in the Amazon rainforest. Still, Kai planned to return to United Asia to settle things with the Katsuragi family, so he thought about asking Ishi instead of the 2. While he thought about it, Aston already knew his answer and said, "Since we've shown you the most important thing in this place, I think we should wrap it soon. I'm sure you don't want to let the 2 girls wait for too long, right?" Although Kai wanted to explore and observe the altar for a little longer, he knew he could do it next time if he really needed it. Hence, he hesitantly nodded his head. "Yeah, but I want to ask you 2 things before we go back." "Sure, ask us anything." First, who was spreading the rumor that our altar is missing? King Gilgamesh ordered us to spread the information because there was a chance that they were going to steal it. If we didn't have the altar and gem, we are simply a race without power to fight back until we reclaim what is ours. Kai nodded and asked his other question. "Do you think it's all right for me to talk about it with the other protectors?" "Of course. I'm not talking about the location and such." "Yeah, it's fine. As long as you know that this is the most important thing to our race, it's fine." "I see." Kai contemplated for a minute before turning around. "Let's go back then."